Okay. Well,
Okay.
welcome everybody. We are live on my end, and I know we've been live in the other chat. So welcome everybody to the Group Up podcast. We're here for another great episode, and it is the Great Role Debate. And I've got a juicy, spicy lineup for you guys. This should be fantastic. So let's get right into it. We're going to discuss the strength of all three roles in Overwatch, balance concerns, the competitive matchmaking, and here with me are three stellar, perhaps undefeatable representatives for each role. So in the bottom right of your screen, mL7.
Meow.
No.
And if you see,
Meow,
if you notice,
everybody.
if you notice a delay in ML's audio and video, is because currently right now, ML's audio is so scuffed that we're in an Overwatch voice lobby with him while his Discord screen shares his camera with us. So we're in like three layers deep of communication right now. So apologies.
Prime sub to ML.
We have to go deeper.
We have to go deeper.
We have to go
We
deeper.
have to go deeper.
Inception. Okay. On that lovely note, the resident expert on that,
I have
Bogur,
no
in the
left.
bottom left.
Hi, it's me, the guy who keeps losing mL7's games. What's up? What's up,
know.
guys?
You know him, you love him. And to round us off for his debut on the Group Up podcast is my man
swear to God,
Kabaji
if
in
you
the
see
top
the
left.
front. Okay, good.
No, I'm not out here to troll you, bro. I'm not out here to troll you. Don't worry. He's looking very
swear to
cozy,
God, man.
Kabaji. How you doing today?
I'm doing fine. I'm doing great. How are you doing? Did
I'm
you
fantastic.
like play any games today? Because you seem
No, I
like very happy.
No, I
obviously.
didn't, and that's why. There's a clear
Yeah,
correlation there.
That's what I was thinking. Yeah.
I'll play afterwards, and yeah, 2 hours later you'll find me very miserable. But for now, I'm chipper because I get to talk to you guys. So let's get right to it. Kabaji, of course, actually partly the brainchild of this podcast. He was like, "SAB, I want to talk about balance, man. Shit is whack. Let's go." And I was like, "All right, Kabaji, let's go."
What do you guys want to talk about Kiriko like to begin with, right?
We'll talk about Kiriko. We'll talk about all of it. To start with, what I'd really like to do on this podcast, just to get a brief idea of where each participant stands. So what I'm going to ask all you guys to do is just give me a brief summary of how you think your role is currently faring. Like, how would you summarize your role in Overwatch 2 as things stand? I'm going to take it to ML first because perhaps support has gotten a lot of scrutiny recently, ML, as the least fun, the least rewarding role. Is that a sentiment you agree with, yes or no?
I have one word for this. Support is... Wait, those are multiple words. One word. Can we rewind? Okay, so, powerless.
Powerless?
I feel powerless whenever I play support, yes. And I'm not the only one.
Well, I think you and I've been playing a lot of support, and I've been finding it the same. But I think hearing you say it is actually really is great to hear, because I think everyone else would be like, well, I guess I'm just bad. But when the rank 1 support is like, yeah, I feel powerless, I think we take that seriously. Okay, well, that's a great start, and I definitely want to come to that. I'm going to quickly touch base, though. Bogur, you were complaining off stream just now. How do you feel about your role? I mean, Winston is
I think
special.
Tank is broken if you play the right tanks, but like if the enemy team doesn't want you to play the game, you will not play the game if you try to play like Winston or something like that. And I also think it's really bad to be a one trick on tank nowadays. If they manage to counter your pick, you're gonna lose the game. Like, nobody's gonna try to counter supports or DPS that often. They will try, but if they manage to counter the tank and he can't do anything, that's it. GG's. Just
Can I...
quit the game. Yeah, it's good night. Like
Yeah, go ahead, Emil.
that's what I'm struggling with. Yeah.
I want to hop in for like 1 second. Tank is broken if you're not Bogur.
Yeah, real.
True.
If you don't play Winston, it's pretty broken. Yeah.
True
Yeah.
based. Kabaji,
Painful.
how do you feel about both of those statements, but also the DPS role?
I definitely agree with those. I think especially like tank at the moment, if you play tank right and the right like champions, you have an immense amount of impact. Like what I've noticed is, especially like in lower SRs, and we get to that like later on about the ranking system, is when your tank is not capitalizing on certain picks that you do as DPS, or like on certain like picks that you do as support, whatnot, and he doesn't capitalize on top of it and just like backs off or stands, that pick, it feels like it was completely negated. Like it feels like it wasn't even there. So you lose fights that you should actually normally win, and like push into. And I know like the higher you get in SR and the like higher you are, the more people like capitalize obviously on the mistakes of the enemies. But at the moment, because the ranking system is very odd from my perspective, even it doesn't matter what role you play. When you're in the like lower SR brackets, like when you are on Diamond to Master 2, you get an extreme uneven ranking of players. And most of the time, these players can't even do anything about it. Like, it's not their fault. And they get put into games where there's people who like has been seasons upon seasons, like Grandmaster. And then you get someone who's like the first time ever, maybe even playing ranked, who knows? Because you can't even see it. And yeah, it makes the games very like odd, even more so than it was in Overwatch 1.
You're speaking some truths to me right now, Kabaji. I promise I didn't pay you guys to say exactly what I wanted to hear, but ML saying support is powerless and Kabaji being like, yeah, up to like Master 2, the shit is just like, it's wild. But that's been what it's like for me as well.
DPS actually insane if you play the right heroes too. Like Sojourn, for example. You have an insane amount of impact as Sojourn.
If you're a go to Sojourn, that's it. I'm sorry.
Yeah, like Sojourn is very good.
Sojourn Gaming.
Sojourn Gaming.
Indeed.
All points that we're going to touch on. I'm glad you addressed them, Kabaji. We're going to talk about the matchmaking system. We're going to talk about Sojourn. We're going to talk about all of this right now. But first, let's get role by role. And I think perhaps the most noteworthy there was ML saying support feels powerless. So let's turn our attention collectively to support. ML, please elaborate. Why do you think support feels powerless?
Where should I start from? So the reason why I feel support feels powerless is mainly because of the fact that even if you play perfectly, you will still lose the fights. So even if you go to get some kills, then people in the back are going to die. If you use your cooldowns aggressively, people in the back are going to die. If you save your cooldowns, then your teammates are somehow going to die because you don't use your cooldowns. The main issue with supports right now, I feel, with playing support right now is the fact that everybody has such low cooldowns that do roughly the same thing as supports or more. So for example, let's say if I want to play Ana and I throw the nade in and I land a big nade, then sure, we can follow up on that. But if I miss, it is the most punishable scenario that you can ever be in. If you're playing Winston and you miss the jump, yeah, you're tanky, you can have a bubble, fine, you can get some heal and stuff, but you have jump back up in what, 6 seconds? So I think that right now supports feel powerless, number one, because of the fact that you have to have flawless decision-making to have not more impact than DPSs on tanks, but mostly the same or lower, or you're just gonna die. That's it. And we've seen it in Overwatch League in playoffs as well. Like, you've seen Kiriko's going in off angle, right? Landing a big headshot, and then somebody dies in the back if you play with that style.
We're getting coffee ASMR from Kabaji. Kabaji with the coffee ASMR right now, just like sipping his tea, interested in what ML is saying. No, I mean...
Secondly...
Yes, go ahead.
I have a rant. Okay, so
keep going.
First of all, with the cooldowns, it's super hard because if you want to be proactive, then your team is going to die. It's your fault. If you're passive, it's your fault because your team can't carry. Secondly, survival options. I feel like right now, DPSs and tanks are super focused on getting picks, and supports that don't have mobility to survive are just having a super rough time. For example, touching on this, if Mercy ever sneaks up in the meta in the future, I think that every DPS and tank player will absolutely rage. This is going to be them.
100%. 100%.
What the fish? Like, their mobility is so strong.
It's crazy.
Right now, I feel like it's slowly but surely a mobility creep in the game. And supports that have, like, huge mobility will always be played a bit more. But TLDR, if you just heal, even if you do damage, even if you use the right abilities, the room for error is minimal. Like, you cannot do a bad boop with Lucio. Otherwise, Winston jumps in, you're dead. Reaper TPs in, you're dead. You don't have room for mistakes, I feel like, as a support right now. And this is why the role feels miserable to play at times and powerless. Because, yeah, okay, tanks can go in, DPS can go in, fine. But as a support, sometimes I feel like, dude, I'm not playing perfectly, obviously. In any scenario, I'm not talking that I'm the Giga Chat and I'm playing perfectly. I'm just talking from everybody's experience. It feels like if you play DPS or tank, you do have more impact on games than if you play support.
Yeah, I mean, I'll quickly chime in here as someone who's been playing a lot of support to start with in Overwatch 2. It felt exactly like you said, just miserable, especially certain heroes like Ana, who I wanted to play a lot of, Zen as well. It felt like literally one mistake and you would die. Or if it was Ana, it's like, if you miss one of your 2 cooldowns, if you waste them, there's a really high likelihood that fight is over. And I think what we're seeing right now is perhaps the highest discrepancy of forgiving characters versus unforgiving characters. I feel like there's some really forgiving characters, and Tank has a lot of them, I think. versus characters who are like, and I think part of this frustration with Sojourn as well, and we'll get to this, is that people, because sometimes people come into my chat and they're like, why are you mad about this Sojourn one-shot, SCB? Isn't it like a Widowmaker one-shot? It's like, no, because Widowmaker doesn't fly around the fucking map with this hyper giga mobility and also have a slow and also have like regular poke damage and also have an ultimate that then provides that one-shot all the time. So it's like there's that, the same character but doing like has a lot more options, and it started to feel that way where with support it feels like I have no options. Like I either do this perfectly and then we can go somewhere, maybe we might play my heart and still lose the fight.
Maybe that's the big word. Maybe it's not definitely I'll win. Like Unanomy with Genji, and I'll go and kill everybody, and that's it. With support, it's like I'll land a big nade, and maybe we can get a kill or two. You know,
especially because they nerfed the
cool,
cooldowns as well.
Cool.
Like they nerfed both the sleep dart length, the nade length, which means that in window of impact. Again, I think something that I've been trying to talk about a lot with Ana players, like you can't necessarily nade at the start of the fight anymore because it'll just wear off. Like it used to be that you could literally throw a nade to start a fight on a tank because it's like, oh, they're purple, get them. You have lots of time to kill them. But if you do that now, like by the time firstly the tanks are beefier, and by the time the purple wears out, they barely gone under their armor health. So it's like they're just fine. So like even more so than ever, it's hard to time it, I feel. But maybe there's some dissenting voices in this call. So I'm going to take it first to Kabaji. Bogur's going to be very patient. He's being a very good boy with his plushie. Kabaji,
okay.
How does support feel?
As DPS when you don't play the like main DPSs, right? Some of the DPSs like obviously have an insane amount of pick potential. Like for example, Sojourn. Like you shoot a shield, and then after like even like the aim on Sojourn in itself is very easy from long range when it comes to the projectiles to get your charge up, right? And you literally lose out almost on nothing, not getting a right-click headshot. Like you don't get punished for it at all because it doesn't really matter. You'll get it up anyways again, you know? So like compared to Tracer in that manner, because I played like so much Tracer, I played like Tracer since all the seasons, like before even into GOATs. It feels like you need to play even more aggressive because the pick potential is so high from the enemy team because they're not playing the wrong heroes that if you don't play aggressive enough, you get punished for it. But then playing more aggressive is also like in return, like, you know, more risky. So like, it's like you need to take much higher risks to be able to make up for the difference in the hero that they're playing and that you're playing. So it's much easier just to play the, like, you know, heroes that are much stronger, at least from a DPS's perspective.
And how do you feel as a DPS player of the strength of support? So you feel like, compared to Overwatch 1, for example, do you feel like they're easier to kill, harder to kill? Do you feel like you're more, like, do you feel the presence of enemy supports more, your supports more, or do you feel them less?
I think the like supports have it really hard at the moment, the way I see it. Because there's just too much, in a way, going on, even though you have one less person. It's just too much going on. And, like, for example, when you play on NA and EU, okay, like back in the day when I used to play on NA EU, it was completely different kind of like gameplay style than like when you were playing on Korea. In NA and EU, it was more about like who is gonna get picks. In Korea, it was like who's not gonna get picked, who is gonna make less mistakes. So the less mistakes, like, you know, your team did, the more you were winning. Because Korea didn't play in ranked in a way that like we're gonna go in, we need picks, I'm gonna flank, I'm gonna do this. They're more like I'm gonna put it like I'm gonna put myself in the best position possible. I'm gonna not make a single mistake in my movement. I'm not gonna make a single mistake in that. Like they like played very like, you know, methodically, right? But EU and NA is just like monitor off, throw your mouse out of the window and just get in. And that kind of playstyle at the moment is getting more rewarded than the playstyle like before, where like you would rather not make any mistakes and get rewarded for it, rather than play as risky as possible so you get rewarded and, you know, make up for the difference of what's happening in between the team fights.
It's a very interesting assessment, and I wonder if that's something you agree with, Bogur. Do you feel like that's what's going on, and particularly with regards to support?
Can I
ML,
hop in for
ahead.
like a second? Okay, I agree with Kabaji on this, and I think that if we'd play support in Korean servers, I think that would actually probably have way more pop-off potential, because I do agree with like waiting for mistakes to happen. And right now with the support passive, if you wait and you wait and you wait and then you strike, then that's like the right way to play support right now, I feel like. But in usual games and not in like top 500 games, then you're gonna have a very hard time of these things actually happening. Because have you ever had those games in which your Winston doesn't want to just go win when he has like a clear opportunity? I'm not totally looking at somebody, but have you ever had those games in which that happens? You can't do that. They have to do that, you know? And I feel like these stalemates I can't focus with Bogur. Bogur, you talk. I'm done.
What's
yeah, I
up,
agree with
guys?
Kabaji
It's
on
me. Okay, what was your question, SVB?
So Kabaji's talking about perhaps he's feeling like a shift in playstyle where previously Korea was more like let's not make mistakes, EU and A was like let's int our brains out and get picks, and he feels like that playstyle is now more dominant. And ML is talking about the fact that he just feels like support is incredibly punishing to the point where you have to play almost perfect just to get equal value to the other roles. So either of those points, I'm down for you to vibe with.
I think that support is a horrible role. I think that DPS is horrible 90% of the time unless you play Sojourn, Sombra, or Reaper. I think almost every other DPS character is super hard to get value on. Like, obviously no offense to Kabaji or anything, but if you have a Tracer and they have like full meta with Sojourn and Reaper, like you're just gonna have a hard time. It's true though. And I feel like on tank, it is an ever-ending battle of who's gonna counter who. Okay, they're playing Diva. I'm going Zarya. I'm going Winston. I'm going Hawk. I'm going Lisa. I'm going this. I'm doing that. I'm doing this. I'm doing that. And it's like never-ending rock, paper, scissors with tanks. And it's just like, when are you gonna force the other tank to pick something he can't play and just lose the game? In which case, it's like the second pick for me. But anyways, what I'm trying to get at, I agree with ML. Support is super hard to get value on. I've dealt with a lot of support players. I don't know what you're even supposed to do in support to get value. Unless you get a kill on Kiriko just randomly on someone, you're gonna maybe win the fight. Even then, you might not win the fight.
Not even
then, you're gonna win the fight.
You go for a kill, and then somebody dies in the back.
Yeah, it's true.
I want you to quickly elaborate, ML, because we were going to talk about Kiriko more lengthily, but I think there's more pressing concerns. But some people like Kiriko broken, Kiriko busted. Do you feel like that still doesn't change how you feel, ML?
No, it doesn't. I think that the hero is just kind of new guy now, and yes, she has like some clear strengths, but on paper, if you have a hero that has a cooldown that lasts for 7 seconds and a cooldown that's 15 seconds, then in theory you can punish that. But right now it's very hard to keep track of what's happening because it's a new hero added to the game, in a new game, in a 5 versus 5 scenario, on new maps, with new passes, with tanks being reworked, and I feel like it's a bit overwhelming of keeping track what's happening. This being said though, I do think that she is really good at countering other heroes, and she might be played a lot because right now, as I said earlier, the mobility creep is slowly but surely getting closer to supports, and I feel like playing Lucio, Kiriko, even Moira sometimes is better than playing heroes that don't have mobility, like Zenyatta or Rana. So even though she might not be optimal just because of that get out of jail free card, she might be played and be super strong in the future as well.
Bogur.
I want to interject. I want to say that Kiriko is really, really strong for the support role, but that means she's really bad. In the sense that Sojourn is just so much better, and Zarya is so much better. Like, no matter how good your Kiriko is, if their Zarya is on, like, KSA or something, you just lose the game, you know? That's it.
What do you mean? You have to land 7 headshots and he dies.
Yeah, real. And if
like,
Craggy,
really?
if it's the enemy team has Craggy on Sojourn, and he says, "Oh, this ends now," and then goes ding, 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 and like, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do?
What do you mean? You have to 2-tap headshot her, go to Suzu,
Yeah,
and TP out off angle before she ults? Like, duh.
To be honest, I tell my team to run it down every time I hear Sojourn ult. Like, one of us needs to sacrifice themselves.
Real.
Get down the grenade.
I mean, it's true.
It's true. This time.
That in Overwatch League, the Winston just saves the primal and just goes on the Sojourn when they use ult. But then I do it in ranked, and then everyone turns around, and then I get dinged 3 times and I die from Sojourn because that thing does like 300 damage. Like ding, 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 I'm dead. Okay, have fun. Goodbye. But anyways, what I'm trying to say is Kiriko is OP for the support role because she's really good. But compared to every other role, she's dog shit.
I want to quickly. Yeah, it makes sense. I want to quickly get something here though, because we're quite negative, we're quite complaining. How much fun do you think you're having in Overwatch 2 games compared to Overwatch 1? Like, I just want to get that established. So quickly, like on a scale of like 1, you really, really preferred Overwatch 1. 10 is you really, really prefer Overwatch 2. ML.
I prefer Overwatch 2, although I have less of an impact, because I hope that in the future the support role will change and they will understand what a support has to do in the same way that they understood what a tank has to do on some tanks. So 5 versus 5, well, a lot of copiums in chat, but 5 versus 5 has more individual pop-off potential, and I feel like it's also easier to turn around fights. Meanwhile, in 5 versus 6, I don't know. I felt like in 6 versus 6, I mean, sometimes it was fun and stuff, but I guess, you know what? It's the novelty of 5 versus 5 for me. It is the novelty of 5 versus 5 for me because it's a new game, and I'm personally having more fun as support in Overwatch 2, although I feel like my impact is lower by at least 25 to 50%.
Statistics, I like it. Bogur?
But I'm intrigued. I'm intrigued of the future.
intrigued.
You know, this is how I'm like, am I playing it bad? Are we all playing it bad? What's going to happen?
You think there's potential for even more support impact, basically, in the future?
Yes. Yes, because I feel like they completely Donawall the supports with feedback and stuff. And I think that for them, supports is more like, you know what, so we have DPS taken care of, tank taken care of, and supports, yeah, whatever. It's like a big spider web in the support section for Blizzard.
An afterthought.
Exactly, an afterthought. Like with tanks, they completely nailed on some tanks, though, I'll be honest with you. But some tanks feel bad to play, right? But they kind of like got some numbers right, I guess, with what a tank should do. But I do agree with Bogur. I don't know about like the context swapping stuff, because it does feel like that. It's like rock, paper, scissors. You know, you go that, I go that. You go that, I go that. Bam, 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 bam.
I hate it so much. I hate the counter swapping thing. I don't mind counter swapping once or twice, but it's like the entire game. Like it's like they start off on Hog, I go on Winston. They start off Hog, I go Risa. They go Zarya, I go Winston. They go Diva, I go Zarya.
I don't want to be a gloating little bitch, but I feel like I was one of the few people who was like, when they entered the 30% pass, I was like, this is shit idea. Because what are you trying? Are you trying to create a game where people swap every 30 seconds? Because that's what you're doing. You're allowing people to keep 30% ult charge, and I feel like
no, clueless.
This is fucking terrible. It's just fucking terrible. Like I don't want to switch. Like, oh, is it literally, yeah? Like Bogur said, it's like, oh, I start Winston, they go Diva, then I have to go Zarya, then they go Winston again, or you know, it's just fucking stupid. Like, just play the fucking game. I thought the idea was supposed to be, you pick your hero and you're the best. Like, you play the best on your hero and you win because you played better than the other guy. Not like I keep picking until I find the thing the guy doesn't fight.
I feel like that's in terms of like from a DPS's like standpoint. I feel like that's been like normal, like for most DPSs. Since Overwatch 1, like from my role out, like if you see enemy Widow and she's popping off and like they're defending her really well, and you're playing Tracer and you can't really get in the backline because it's a map, I don't know, like Rialto, like something that like there's a lot of high ground, you can't really get up there, you don't have the hero pool for it, so you gotta go Widow yourself. And then she goes Widow, she gets out Widow, then she goes Genji, and then you have to go something else, and then you like it was like in a way always like in a way like that. And then in the end you just say, you know what, I'm so tired of this, so you go Sojourn.
Or
Sombra, the ultimate one.
But I don't want to be like, I've spent the last few years constantly trash talking Overwatch, so I don't want to be the negative Nancy again. So I do want to say that Overwatch 2 is way better gameplay wise. Like, no matter the amount of complaining I do, it's mostly boils down to me just spending the last 3 days playing 30 hours of Overwatch and just getting really angry. And I do think the game is better. I do think the tank is way more enjoyable. I do think DPS, if they just nerf the OP heroes, is going to be great. God bless. It's going to be more fun. The game just feels better. It just feels more fresh. There's new changes. I don't know what people think about push. I like push more than 2CP. I'm sorry. I just like
But what about support in Overwatch 2?
Support, I don't play support. I always thought support was a boring ass role. I don't care about it. Listen to me. In Overwatch 1, support was dominating every single game, okay? Briggs. Okay, off tank. Oh, I'm not an off tank player, okay? Not my problem again. So I blame the support.
That's you then, okay.
I don't blame. So the second, outside of off tank, Briggs and Bubs and Briggs. You know, it wasn't fun. So
Sigma actually, so Bob. So.
Yeah, double shield. But listen, double shield worked because the Bob Zen characters and the Brig Zen characters. Okay, I'm gonna be honest.
But Bob Zen worked because of 2 shields.
Okay, listen, both tanks and supports are shit. DPS is the best. God bless.
Okay, I was gonna say, on that, let's turn on the Kabaji. Kabaji, firstly, how much are you preferring Overwatch 2 to Overwatch 1? And then do you agree with that sentiment? With that, the other two have just put it.
In terms of the gameplay and how like everything is structured, I definitely think Overwatch 2 is a big improvement. In terms of other things, like for example the placement system, the 7 wins 20 loss thing, I think in my opinion that is a very drastical like negative thing from my perspective, because I feel like even if I win, I don't get the juice. You know, I don't get the like dopamine rush when I win. I feel like nothing is going up. I feel like another win in the 7 placements. And when I first started, I thought that was only for the beginning of the games, right? But it was for everything. So I think that needs to be really changed in a way. And another thing is like the icons. You don't know like what SR everybody is, and it's not about like flaming them, but it's more about like seeing, you know what, we can give feedback that the games have been very uneven. I see that like someone is silver in a GM game, for example, I wouldn't even know because everybody has private profiles automatically enabled when they have, you know, started a new account. It's always automatically enabled. So it's not even like that you have to enable it, it's automatically enabled. And I'm completely fine with like people like hiding their profiles, but I would like to see what kind of MMR, what kind of SR, not even the SR MMR stands anymore, right? Like usually it would say this SR to this SR, you know, like that's also not there anymore. So not knowing makes it very odd and less juicy, if that makes sense.
Hey guys, SVB here. Just going to quickly interrupt this episode of the Group Up podcast to say that if you're enjoying this content, then please do consider signing up for my Patreon to support me directly. It's really amazing because it allows me to keep making content like this carefree, regardless of how many views Overwatch does or doesn't get. I know no one likes sellout ads, but chances are if you've listened till this far in, then you're at least somewhat enjoying the content. So please do consider at least leaving a like, subscribe, and a comment underneath the video on YouTube. It really does help. But that's it from me. Now back to the discussion.
I think that gameplay-wise, the game is really good. I think the rank system is terrible. I think the icons are terrible as well. Like, both things need to get worked on. You can't even see what number a person is. You know, like, the GM1, GM2 is so small. I don't know. It's such a weird change. That makes no sense to me. And the rank system doesn't feel satisfying at all. Like, it doesn't feel satisfying. It doesn't feel like that whenever you're high ranked, like top 500, because it constantly changes after every game. But before that, you don't know where you are, you don't know what's happening. And also, something I really dislike is that when you're top 500, your icon should show up in game. Because if I'm rank 1, I want to show everyone how big and strong I am. You know, like, I want to be like, I'm rank 1. It added so much hype to get into a game and see the enemy team is like rank 2, rank 1, rank 5, rank 10, or like you see someone on your team is like rank 2 and you're like, okay, we need to try hard. It's okay, it's rank 1 game, okay, this is it, baby. But you can't do that anymore. You don't know who's what. You can't see it. I don't care about not seeing everyone's rank, if they're GM masters or whatever. I don't care. You know, solve toxicity if you want to. That doesn't matter. I don't think it applies for top 500 players because top 500 players want their rank to be shown.
Okay, well, we broached this subject, so let's go all in on this the new rank system. You know, compared to previously where you would see your win-loss go up every single time, 25 SR up or down, you see your rank, you can potentially see the exact number of everyone else. We now have a system where you must get either 7 wins or 20 losses, whichever comes first, just to see your rank update. And in the between of that, you can't see necessarily, like on the screen, you can't see if you've gotten 4 wins. You don't know how many losses there are unless you were keeping track. When you're in game, you can't see anyone's rank show up anywhere. Ostensibly, this was a anti-toxicity measure, or perhaps a way to allow people to solve comp anxiety. But I can see already all 3 of you are not happy. ML, when they told us about this in the Creator Summit, I know you and I had a discussion about this. You weren't very happy. Are you still unhappy? And if so, like, what do you want done about the new rank system?
Of course, I'm unhappy. I'm playing support.
For Murphy, I'm happy.
Just default unhappy.
I feel like right now, if you go 50-50, it feels worse than before. Because when you lose, you know that you might drop, but when you win, you don't know how much you win. As Bogur and Kabaji said earlier, it's very odd to actually, you don't have a clear indicator if you're actually winning or not, you know? Like if that win matters like for the past 2 losses or stuff like that. I want visuals to appear. I've said it before. I've told Blizzard as well. We need icons in game because it creates hype. I agree with Bogur. Like I've had like some games in which we had what rank 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 in the same game. That was super hype. And I do think.
Sorry. Yeah.
You go on.
Like it's good for content seeing that also.
It is.
It is extremely good for content seeing that.
It's good
like,
for hype.
like I remember like seeing like these rank 1, rank 2, rank 3, rank 5 games, and you just want to like see, okay, well, like how are they gonna play, because they play a little different, because everybody's like on their main heroes a little bit more skilled than other, you know, like top 100 players, and then like they like it's just so much like more different. Now it's like, oh, I got my 7 wins. I went 7-1. I go up 1 rank. I go 7-3. I go down 2 ranks. I'm like,
Ooh, yeah, exactly.
happening?
Like, huh?
What's happening?
What's
over here,
happening?
man?
Well,
Like,
this is another thing.
I was bamboozled.
There's a lot of murkiness to it, because I saw Tesla Sciences. He's doing a bronze to GM on Mora, and he posted like his win rate stats, and he was saying that he thinks it's to do with performance, because he jumped up 2 ranks at a 40% win rate, and he had like other ranks where he got like 100% win rate, and he would just stay like a rank or something. So he says that he thinks it's performance based.
If that would be the case, though, like we had that in one of the seasons, it was like season
beginning.
8 beginning, right? Like somewhere, like we had skill based like SR rating upgrades, right? So even if you would lose, if you were playing your character in the right way, but the stats on how to play your characters the right way were complete bogus. Like for example, for Trace, it was melee deaths, like melee kills. Like if you would finish someone with melee kills, you would get more SR. And I found that out later on. If that's the case, and the metrics are that way, then the system could be very easily abused if people find out what exactly gives you more SR and what exactly doesn't. Because you would just like sit in the back and just do exactly that, what gives you the most SR, or loses you the least SR, and not even care about like that much about winning or losing.
So I've just DM'd it to you guys in the group chat. I'm going to pull it up on screen right now for people viewing. So you can see these are the stats that Tesla has provided. So shout out to Tesla Sciences, great content creator. So you can see here from Master 4, they get 100% win rate. They go up to Master 3, and then at Master 3 they have a 41% win rate and go up to Grandmaster 5. So I think
the games that they won mattered more than the games that they lost.
Well, that's odd though, isn't it? And I think one of the frustrations people have is the murkiness. Is like, well, what is happening? Like, I don't know what's happening.
If you don't understand how it's working SVB, then you cannot comment on if it's working good or not. If you don't have all of the system in front of you, this is how you measure this. This is how you measure that, and you don't have it in front of you, then all you can do is just speculate, which we're doing right now.
I think the biggest issue is that like they just hide all the information. They don't show us anything, which is obviously normal in ranked systems, but they've made us absolutely blind. So a lot of speculations and myths are very easy to spread, and it's very easy to believe them. It is because, for example, at the beginning there was a
you have some experience with TikTok.
Me? Yes.
Yeah, you.
CEO of misinformation. Anyways. What I was gonna say is that there was a conspiracy theory that you cannot, once you go on a winning streak, then you have to go on a losing streak, because a lot of people like started winning games and then they started losing games immediately. I don't think it's true. I think it's just like people make it happens because they start climbing and then they climb higher than their normal SR, so the games become tougher and they start losing. I don't think it's true, but it's easy to believe these things because we're kept in the dark. You know, everyone believes anything at this point, so you can share anything, you can say anything. Yeah, it's because we duel together and we keep losing games. Okay, anyways. But anyways, because of the lack of information we have, it's really, really, really easy to spread misinformation about how the ranking system works, and nobody knows anything. Nobody knows how it works. Nobody knows what's true or not.
Yeah, and again,
Blizzard
like you said,
does.
Blizzard does, and like
surely,
you said, like
clueless.
Hopefully.
What do you guys think about the cheaters at the moment? Like, do you guys think there's more or less?
I feel like way
I
less
don't know.
compared to
Okay,
Overwatch
I'll
and
be
Overwatch
honest
1.
about cheaters. Completely honest, I never notice cheaters unless they're absolutely obvious. I'll be absolutely honest. I just play monkey. I jump on the cheaters. I go zap. I have no idea if he's cheating or not. People are like, he's cheating. I'm like,
So the alleged
okay.
cheaters.
Yeah, Winton zap. Okay, let's go. People happy.
I kind of
So I
want
have
to
no
say,
idea.
Kabaji, I just want to stay on this for a second.
Cheaters don't affect you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
actually true. It's actually true.
No, I just want to say. Go ahead, Kabaji.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
You go ahead. No, you want to say?
I was gonna say I just want to really get this topic out because I think it's an important one, and I want to get all our thoughts on it. Obviously, the Blizzard would say, well, we don't tell you things because if we told you exactly how it worked, people might exploit it, right? That's the counter argument. Like maybe if there is a performance-based element to it, they, like Kabaji said, they don't want you to know because it might be some odd. From what they've told us, there isn't. From what they've told us, there isn't a performance-based incentive after diamond, because we know it's up to diamond, but after that we don't. There's supposedly not, but these kind of stats would say otherwise. I'm gonna slightly tangent here and give a little musing, a little story that I think is relevant. So there was a game. It's one of the old MMOs. I think it was like EverQuest or something. And in the game, people were like, I think there's something wrong with the loot system. I think my character is cursed because my character doesn't get the right amount of loot drops. Like, it just doesn't get the loot drops it wants. And the devs were like, no, you're out of your mind. Like, why would we sabotage you? There's no reason for us to sabotage you. And that of course makes sense. Turns out actually that there was a very, very interesting niche bug where every account when it was created had like a number assigned to it. And there was like a certain interval of numbers that were actually cursed within the algorithm of the game. So they actually physically had a lower drop rate because just the way the internal system worked, it assigned everyone numbers and they actually gave certain people like a curse rate. So there was like mobs that would aggro them, they wouldn't get like proper loot or whatever because they were just actually genuinely cursed. Now, I'm not saying that to provide that Overwatch has anything like that happening. The reason I'm bringing that up is when nothing is when we don't know, there's a lot of myths, like Bogur said. There's a lot of myths that can abound. Like, well, some people think this 5 wins 5 losses myth exists, right? Where it's like, if you get 5 wins, you're gonna get 5 losses, like guaranteed. Or do we believe that there is performance-based metrics above diamond, like Tesla's example shows, right? Or is there a bug that the devs don't know about? I don't want to bring that up as any serious possibility, but they did say for their bronze thing, right, where they put people in bronze 5 accidentally and they had to come out and say, sorry guys, we accidentally dumpstered you, put you in bronze 5, sorry to crush your dreams. So I feel like more communication would be effective, but I also, the cynic in me says that they'll come out and say it's working as intended.
The thing what I've realized is like a lot of online games is people will always find a way to exploit the system. That's why, like, usually game makers make sure that like everything is playtested to the maximum. Like, for example, at the moment, there's a lot of like things that you can do in ranked that has, in my opinion, no drawback. If I can give an example, like, let's say you have 5 friends, okay? And you all make like new accounts, okay? You all start playing Overwatch, right? And one of your friends is like, you know what? I'm gonna start cheating, right? So as we know, cheaters need phone verification. Like, anybody needs phone verification to be able to get the top 100, right? So if the 5th person is cheating and they're all queuing with that 5th person and getting SR by protecting that person, and they get to GM rank, that cheater is gonna get banned. But what about the other 4? They have phone verification. They only played with this person. They can just say, I didn't know. And you can keep on doing that over and over and over.
So you feel as an exploit. Actually, I want to quickly chime in here before we go to Bogur. Gavin Winter, who is one of the devs responsible for the competitive system, is in my chat and says there could always be a bug that we don't know about. We are always looking for them, and then have a Monka S emo as well. Gavin, I just want to quickly ask,
mod check.
Do you have like an answer for what the statistic I've got on screen here with Tesla Sciences on like bronze to GM? Do you have an explanation or perhaps a theory for why they ranked up on a 41% win rate, 2 ranks? But anyways, back to Bogur in the meantime while we wait for Gavin's answer if they stick around.
I was gonna say about the entire thing where people can stack with a cheater and just win games. I'm pretty sure other games punish that pretty heavily. I know if Overwatch does. I think Valorant actively checks if people have been doing it cheaters and punish them for it. I hope Blizzard does the same with Overwatch. I think it's very obvious that it should happen. Even if the person says, I didn't know. Well, screw them. Like, what do you mean you didn't know? And third of all, about cheaters, I don't think you could ever do anything in a game where you can absolutely negate all cheaters. It's just not possible. It's never gonna happen. No matter what you do, it's a game created by people, programmed by people, and there's always gonna be exploits. It's just inherent, and people are always gonna abuse it. The question is, do you wanna be really aggressive in fighting the cheaters, while punishing the actual players that enjoy the game? Or do you want to just leave the cheaters run rampant? It's a really hard thing to balance out, and it's really difficult. It's not easy. It's not easy at all. And a lot of people don't give credit to game companies that they're even able to fight this in any sense. It's really hard. It's really difficult. And I do not know if cheating is more right now or it was before. or it was more before. But I really, really want one thing, is I want the anti-cheat system in Overwatch to get a little bit better. I know that it could do, like, it definitely needs some work. I have seen a lot of cheaters get banned mid-game nowadays. I hope they keep it up and they keep improving it, because if the game turns in the same hellhole it was at the last year with so many cheaters, it's gonna kill the game. I promise you. It's really gonna be horrid.
Bogur,
ML, do you have any
you should
thoughts
go
on
to
that?
law school. Yes,
What?
prevention. You should go to law school with that. That's actually how criminal law is made. You should focus first on prevention, then rather than we're gonna get precautions so that don't happen in the first place.
Yeah.
Well, that is
So they should
obviously a lot of the
invest in
measures
a
they've
better
taken, right?
anti-cheat and stuff.
They
Yeah,
have taken,
exactly.
to be
Like,
fair, some measures on it.
They have, but again, it's something that we as players cannot quantify if they work or not, or if the
Yeah, we
system is
can't.
better or not.
We
I
can't.
just
We
hope
don't know.
that it's better. For me personally, I've had I've been playing 200 plus hours, let's say 250 hours in the past month. Probably 10 to 15 cheaters, probably, in top 500 games. that
I've
I
had a
reported
few
and that
cheaters.
I'm sure they work.
I've had a few cheaters as well, and they got banned mid-game. I just hope this keeps
No.
up, to be honest.
Never
For you,
had
it
a
doesn't
mid-game
happen.
ban.
For me, it happened like two or
Nope.
three times.
What I do is, like, I tell my team to report one person because I know they cheated the last game, and then everybody reports, boom, gone.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
out of
yeah.
nowhere.
I
It's
think.
like,
Interesting.
I think like
Never
Blizzard
happened to
does a
me.
good job in terms of like banning cheaters. I just think about the things around like the cheaters. They can abuse system even in a further way than just cheating. And you guys
Can
know
I ask you
boosting is
guys-
also a huge problem, like in Overwatch.
Can I ask you guys something? Not, I would also, I don't know if it's cheating or not, but how do you feel about Plat 3-stack playing in top 100 games because their MMR or whatever is like super high? When you cannot 3-stack or like group up with your team if you're GM. How do you guys feel about that? Because I've had some games in which I was playing against the Plat 3-stack that started the game on new accounts, I think. OPM 777, all three of them were playing, right? And they were 3-stacking in top 100 games, and they were in Plat. And of course, communication-wise, we would get a gold because they were like a team almost, right? How do you feel about that? Because I would want a 3-stack in GM. I'd want a 5-stack in GM. But why can't they 3-stack from Plat? Because they have very high MMR. No, and I think that's a very easy fix, Blizzard.
Did you
know what the
look
fix is?
Yes.
Okay, so
Let ML finish. Let ML finish and then
Blizzard.
Kabaji.
The fix is they can play up until where the restrictions start. So what? Can you 3-stack in Masters? Can you 3-stack in Masters? You
Yeah.
can't, right?
No, you
can?
can. You can.
Okay,
You
so up
can.
until
You
Masters.
can.
So you shouldn't have GM players in your 3-stack lobbies. In GM lobbies, you should only be able to duo, right? And I won, and I lost against them. So it's not like they were broken or cheating or whatever. But
you just
I'm
felt
just
it was
saying, in
exploitative.
theory, it was very exploitative. There was one support, one tank, one DPS. It was Winston, Genji, Ana, I think.
So I just want to
seems like they
quickly.
use
Go ahead, Kabaji. You finish your thought, and then I'm going to quickly chime in.
Okay, this seems like they used a certain like exploit. Obviously, like let's say like you're bronze, right? And if win streaks up your MMR by a certain degree, much more than like usual, right? And let's say you 3-stack and you're a bunch of top 10 Smurfs, and you win every single game for the next 30 games, but you're still Plat, but your MMR is skyrocketing even higher because like the SR doesn't go with the MMR because MMR is like maybe getting like stacked up faster. So suddenly out of nowhere, you have a 3-stack of Plats in top 500 because they've been, winning every game since bronze. That's what I'm thinking, like, has happened there.
Well,
And there
there's
is
a good-
another thing to exploit the system.
Go ahead. You finish that thought then. Kabaji.
No, I'm done.
Oh, you done? You done? Okay.
Yeah,
So I just
yeah,
want to
yeah.
quickly chime in and say you're probably right, which is that Gavin has replied, and they say that the likely result for that Tesla Science win rate jump up is win streaks. They say that if someone's on a win streak, we will rank them up faster. So that's interesting because I don't think that was public before now, that was still happening. ML, or you're looking shocked.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I wasn't pressing. Okay, I'm sorry. It's a scuff setup. Up until what rating?
Yeah, that's a good
Well, it
question.
seems
Do
well
win
if you can
streaks
go
matter?
if you go master to GM with it, seems like there wouldn't be a.
And if it's like that, then why didn't the plat 3 stack drop
well, so
from
again, and
plat all the way to?
Well, this
to
is the thing. So
500,
here's the
as
thing.
Kabaji was
So
saying.
here's the thing. I think Kabaji nailed it, which is that the MMR. Remember the MMR and SR. It's very confusing, and I think it's part of the frustration that MMR and SR are different. SR is essentially a lie, right? SR is like what the facade that we get given, where it's like this is what you are, but really the game is like no, but this is what you really are, meh. And my guess is for Tesla's run, after their, because the 41% one came after a 100% win rate. I'm going to bring it up on screen again. So my guess is that 100% that they had in Masters going 7-0 bumped their MMR up really high, but at the time it only ranked them up once, right? It was like, okay, we're going to ramp you up once. Your SR only goes up this much, but secretly our MMR has got you really ready to go to GM. And then even though they went 41% win rate in the next one, it didn't, it was like, we need to get your MMR to catch up, right? That's my best explanation. Again, Gavin, if you're listening still, and that's anything I said is incorrect, please feel free to correct me. But I guess that's, again, part of why people get frustrated, because it's more of this shadow work where your 7 wins earlier meant more than your 7 losses later. And your SR, and this is why people get upset. They're like, why is there a plat in my lobby? Or your plat 3 stack? And it's like, well, but their MMR is GM. So in realistic matchmaking terms, they should be where they should be, right? They're matched properly. But then again, there's certain exploits, like the 3 stacking that you're talking about. So they're exploiting that. So it's like, it feels like there's a lot of frustration drawn from the fact that we're getting given these 2 numbers, one that's real and one that's kind of like just for the sake of showing you. And Gavin says that would be my guess too about the plat stack that ML encountered. So your solution, ML, is if your MMR is GM, you should only be able to stack 2 stack.
Exactly. That's how you also have like a shadow indication that you're GM level, I guess. Like restrictions should apply like that.
I mean, theoretically,
because
they could even a 4 or 5 stack, right?
Exactly.
anything,
Like
yeah.
imagine you're playing in your rank. You're playing in your rank 1 game and you're playing against a 5 stack, a full team, just for the lulz. Like, dude, seriously, I can only duo.
Well, this brings a good question that that Kabaji wanted to bring up. Kabaji, you want stacking back, right?
No, I like what's happening is at the moment with the stacking is like, because of these like win streaks, you can have a 4 stack of master players who are getting a win streak through, let's say, from diamond to master, whatnot, in GM games, and they're 4 stacking. And I imagine you're solo queuing in GM because like your duo is not like live or whatnot. And like mL7 there, like with his Anna, and like he sits there and he's like, why are they playing so fucking coordinated, like in enemy team? Because they might be 4 stacking and they might be in your game, even though you only yourself can solo to duo queue. That should not be like, that should never be a thing. That is, because teamwork will always like go against solo like skill. Like if they have an insane amount of teamwork, especially synergy, you can't make up with that solo skill, especially as a solo queue player. Like even if you duo queue, that's even very hard right there. And usually like in GM, it's more like the fact that it's everybody like doesn't know each other in a way, kind of does know how everybody plays, but we all have a certain concept of what we should do and all together what we should do, but it's not as much like synergetic and like as team play as oriented as the 4 or 5 stack that is like friends that like have been playing all the time throughout the entire SARS,
I'm going to quickly chime in here. That's a really good point, Kabaji. Gavin says the reason we didn't set it up that way in response to ML's point about the ban of stacking is that you'd have no way of knowing what your stacking restrictions are if your MMR is, let's say, higher than your actual SR. So that's the reason they haven't done that. And I just want to say, chat, I appreciate you guys Go ahead, ML.
Sorry for interrupting. There's no way of knowing if you're going to climb after you finish your 7 wins or not as well.
No. Oh, and again, this is the frustration, right? It's like the unknown that you're fighting, fighting with you, fighting against you sometimes. It's frustrating.
We pick some unknown items, like, where do we do on the line?
Exactly. It's kind of you're kind of playing Mario Kart and you're running to the box every time and you're not sure if you're going to get like a star or you're going to get like blue shelled or what's going to happen. You're just kind of playing the lottery. I just want a quick note, chat. I'm really glad you guys are so enthusiastic about Gavin being in chat, and we should be very grateful. Please don't bombard him with your random ranked questions that have nothing to do with his fucking job. So please be appreciative. If you have any questions you want to ask, there is now a channel in my Discord specifically for this. It's called the Group Up Questions channel. So head on to my Discord, !Discord, if you want to go in there, and we will discuss some of those questions towards the end of this podcast. Please do not bother Gavin Winter with your questions. Okay,
Bogur.
I do wanna say on what you just said, because everyone's gonna bombard them with questions. Like, it's really hard to be a game dev. Okay, like everyone always knows the right answer because everyone is super smart. Believe me, you don't know. Okay, so just let the devs chill. Okay. Anyways, ask what do you want to ask
to
me,
Gavin.
Yeah.
No, yeah, absolutely. Hearts
Yeah.
to Gavin again, and this is unprecedented. I can't remember, like in the era of Overwatch 1, if we'd ever get a dev live talking to us, giving us answers. So, shout out to Gavin.
The giga chadness of it all,
Yeah,
like just watching
real.
it. I can take it.
I
Hit
got
me with
you.
your hardest questions.
I got you. No, Bogur, stacking. We've talked about some exploits. Kabaji and ML have brought up some like exploits, but like, it's an issue that always comes up, and it may as well address your stance on it. You think there should be stacking in GM again?
When I was playing the game before I was a streamer, when I was sitting there grinding the game, there was nothing I hated more than stacking. I just hated it so much because everyone would sit down and just 6-stack with their contenders teams, like Clockwork Vendetta would, at 4 a.m. and they would just roll everyone, and it felt so unfair for me because I was more, I did know a lot of people, but I didn't want to stack because it felt like I was cheating my way to the top. And second of all, I did like playing solo. I still do like playing solo most of the time because it's just more relaxing. And for me, it was really unfair. It felt so hopeless because, as Kabaji said, team play will always win over personal mechanics. Always, no matter what. You can have the best tracer, best whatever, but if they don't have teamwork, you're gonna lose. Okay, because one person is gonna do one thing, the other is gonna do something else. Anyways, I do agree that we should have some sort of stacking, maybe triple stacking max in GM Plus, because then you can triple stack, and then the other two can duo, right, or something like that. I think that's fine. I think full 5-stack is gonna bring back the hopelessness of trying to solo queue and just getting stomped every game because the enemy team is stacking and you're not. Or maybe make a separate queue. I don't know, but separate queues might ruin the queue times, and queue times are already long as they are. Anyways,
Bogur,
but
I think you might be a genius.
Oh, okay.
I think you might be a genius with the 3-stack. Wait a second.
Thanks.
You can right now add as long as you're limiting the amount of roles that you can group up with. So you can only go 1 DPS, 1 support, 1 tank. You can't go 2 DPS and 1 tank, for example.
Yep. I think you can do triple stacks max. It's gonna be really fun for streamers. It's gonna be good content.
True.
I've seen Seago, J3 and Flats and or Emo, they swap around. They stack all the time and they can't play after GM, which really sucks for them because it's a lot of good content for them, right? It's really fun to watch them. But once they get to GM, they need to swap roles and play something else, and it's really it's kind of heartbreaking, right? So it'd be really fun for them. Imagine me, ML, and Kragi or Kabaji with triple stack. The games are gonna be way more competitive.
Why was it Kragi first, man? Huh? Why was it Kragi first?
I'm sorry, Kabaji. My bad.
Because he plays Sojourn, you play Tracer, dog.
He
That's
plays
why
Sojourn,
straight up.
Kabaji. And that would be really fun, and it would be really competitive because it wouldn't be a hard sum. You could still win the game. You could still do something. It wouldn't be a 5-stack. Or back in the day, NYXL would just queue up in the ranked and just roll everyone. It was so boring. It was so unfair for anyone that wanted to play the game. You just queue up and you see the 6-stack of NYXL, the best of the best, against you. What do? You just give up. You just leave the game. You can't
For
win.
me, back in the 3-stack of Carpe, Jonek, and I think it was
Fury?
no, Fury. Yeah, that was fun to play against for me personally.
Yeah, for sure. It's fun when you get the teammates, but what about the times where you just don't get the teammates for it? What about the times when you get, somebody that just one-tricks Symmetric or something, and you just get rolled because they know how to play against it? It's not fun then. It's fun when you have the team to compete against them, and it's really competitive and really engaging, and it's always a back and forward. The game turns from constant intage into the backline and just mindless playing, aggressive playing, into this game that ML was talking about, where you wait for cooldowns, you play passively, you look for opportunities, you look for mistakes, you take space, they take space, you use ults, la 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 la. It's fun. But when you don't have the teammates, it's a roll, and it's not fun.
So I just want to quickly then summarize, because I want to bring you back to a different issue, but I want to summarize all your stances just so we have it. Bogur, you're suggesting 3-stack max in GM. ML?
I would say starting from master.
Starting from master, Kabaji, you think should be
Maybe,
3-stack only?
Sure.
It's tricky. You know what I think is tricky about it? What's tricky is the fact, what happens if you get a 3-stack in your team and a duo and the enemy team has 5 solos? So as long as you take care of the enemy team as well, so you don't put them at a disadvantage, it could work. Like for example, 3-stack versus 2 duos.
Gavin says that they try to match stack against stack.
Yeah. The thing is, you can't satisfy everyone all the time. Yeah, well.
Yeah, exactly. Look at supports not getting reworks, not getting a lot of heroes and stuff.
Well, I mean, this is why they don't. This is why they don't allow. So Gavin has answered this question before, and I don't want to pester him too much on this issue. This is why they don't allow 5 stacking in GM, is because what happens is eventually you get what's like an alpha stack, like the New York Excelsior stack, which is like, there's no one who can beat this stack. How do we matchmake them? Do we just give them someone we know is gonna lose? Right? Like, how does a matchmaker handle a stack that they know can't lose, basically, right? So that's why...
Not an Overwatch League team for content.
Well, but are they there, though?
Step in, like, literally.
Yeah, somebody DM the Overwatch League team.
You're playing against an Overwatch League team, and then your social media manager, you walk in, yo, hello, they're getting all the likes, everybody's talking about them. Let's fuck them up. Like, content, hello, good morning.
You turn on the bat signal. You turn on the bat signal. You call the Philadelphia Fusion. You're like, all right, you guys turn up.
Like back in the day, we would also joke about it. We would like say, "Oh, did the scrims get cancelled? You guys are 5-stack. Did the scrims get cancelled?" You know.
Like, you know what's really funny? I had like, so back in the day, you know, some people would 6-stack at like 4 a.m. and abuse the system, because at 4 a.m. nobody could find the matchmaking system can't find a balanced game. So we would organize 6-stacks to snipe their 6-stacks so they can't win the game. Like it was really funny. We would have this Discord and be like, okay, they're 6-stacking right now. Let's go snipe them. Let's go ruin their day. And we would 6-stack and go full golds and hard comms so they can't climb. It was great. It was a great experience. It was really funny.
You've lost all my sympathy if you ever get stream sniped now, Bogur. If you ever get Spotify premiumed, you've lost all my sympathy because you were.
They were abusing the system.
True. I want to go back real quick though because one thing we didn't mention. I want to be cognizant that you guys here are some of the best players in the world, and you play at an elo that not many people play at. To the new system, to the point of the new system, I feel like the majority of the player base are at least somewhat happy with the blind. I don't have to worry about my SR all the time. I can't speak numbers. Who knows? Actually, majority is not a term I should use because I don't know in any realistic sense who's happy, who's unhappy, how many people are unhappy and unhappy. But I've got a lot of people say that they feel much more invigorated to play comp because they don't have to constantly worry about the number going up or down. Is that a consideration? Should there be like a rank limit to it? Like maybe it kicks in at...
Okay, I might get some hate for this, but usually ranked and competitive means that you have to care about your rating. That's why you're playing it.
Well, it's that they care, but they don't want to have the pressure of always fearing the loss of it, the loss aversion, right? Like, oh, if I play, I'll just drop rank, so I should be very afraid.
I mean, what if, and here's a wild thought, if you have public and private profiles, why can't you just swap how you choose?
Well, it's not even about it's not even about what other people are going to say. I think, like, I've known a lot of people who are like, okay, look, I'm gold right now, and it becomes like a self-fulfilling prophecy where they're like, I don't want to play because I don't want to lose my gold, and if I play like, let's say, 2 games and I lose 50 SR, I feel like I'm on the way to silver now, and I'm about to lose this precious thing that I've just gotten, and so then they don't play, and then they don't play season on season, and now they're like 3 seasons in, they haven't placed. They're like, God, if I place again, I can't say that I'm gold anymore because my SR will drop. So it's like this self-fulfilling cycle that I think this helps, where it's like, okay, I don't have to worry every single game, I can just play. And then 7 wins later, maybe I'll still say the same rank. Doesn't bother me so much. Do you get what I'm saying?
So you're saying basically because of the ranked anxiety that is created through the gains of SR, SR shouldn't be as important.
I'm saying that the system that doesn't show you your SR all the time is helpful for people who don't have to worry about it all the time. Like it liberates them to play more because they're not constantly looking at the number. Because people sometimes become very results focused rather than play focused, right? Where I'm sure you guys know this, like the real trick to climbing is to just play better 5-head. It's not to necessarily worry about every single loss or win. It's like, okay, I just got to be a better player. And I guess go ahead, Kabaji.
I want to feel bad for losing and I want to feel good for winning as much as possible. And I want to see it go up and down. but it might be because I'm a competitive person in general. So this system at the moment, like I said, like with the 7 wins and stuff like that, it doesn't give me like any like, you know, like juice. After the 7
The
wins,
juice.
it just, I'm like, what just happened? I went down 2 ranks, even though I'm like positive, you know. So you don't see the MMR, you don't see exactly what kind of rating you're gonna get. You don't see your teammates' ranking. There's a lot of like things that could be improved, and I don't think it's like, because OH2 is a great game. I don't think it's in my opinion, and I don't know like programming or not, but I don't think it would be hard to like change to show icons again and stuff like that. I think it would give the people that really want to climb an incentive. And I think a lot of people, um, when they see like, for example, mL7 like reach rank 1, they get hyped and want to play his hero. They want to go into ranked and feed their asses off and come back into the chat and say it didn't work for me, but I'm glad it happened for you, because like it happens to me too. Like Kabaji, I saw you perform on Tracer. I went into ranked. I got absolutely rolled. I don't know what to do. Like, but like, you know, they still get that urge of like, oh my god, you know, because that's how I started playing OH2. I used to watch a lot of streamers. I'm like, how do they aim so well? That looks so cool. Like I want to also like be able to like do that, you know. So I try to climb as much as possible. Like I wanted to be like good, you know. And I feel like that's what is competitive. That is what is ranking. What like, you know.
Well, Blizzard in the past, from what I remember, they did say kind of what is competitive, because you had some restrictions if you wanted to participate in contenders. From what I remember, right when I was starting streaming, I think it was you had to be at least masters. So if you wanted to like participate in tier 2 or something like that, you had to be at least master. Like in open division, it could be any rating if you want to participate, but in contenders, from what I remember, something like that, it was you had to be masters and stuff. And I feel like SVB you've touched it so well. We are speaking from the points of view of players that I've been playing since day one, probably for 30 plus rank seasons, and things changed. Of course, we're kind of upset, you know, like we see the game, we have different experiences with the game, right? And I do think that what we have to take in consideration is, where do you draw the line of where the competitiveness of the game begins? At which rating you assume that you've invested enough time in that you treat the game in a hyper competitive way with all that it implies. This including the stress of the SR going up or down, which is something that I've said in the past. I think that line should be drawn at probably Masters or Grandmaster. We should have the old system and the previous system. I agree with you that should be placed in gold, silver, bronze, and stuff like that, because it is anxiety inducing. Okay, like for us, like let's be honest right now, for us it's like he's won. Meanwhile, in bronze and stuff, I feel like you don't have that same intensity.
Oh, you got cut off.
You back.
I got cut off. Blizzard hears me. Blizzard hears me. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Silenced.
I got silenced. I really feel like that is the way to approach it.
I agree.
This way, it's you meet the community, I guess, halfway. You know, you satisfy as much as you can. Some sacrifices here and there. I'm not saying that if you're plat or if you're gold or if you're GM and stuff, you're not competitive or you care or not about competitive. I'm just saying that this might be the best compromise that you could come up with.
I agree.
100% as well. Bogur, do you have any thoughts on it?
I'll be here in 1 second. Gotta let Olaf out.
Okay. Olaf doing Olaf thing.
I
Bogur, do
agree
you have
with
any thoughts on
ML.
this?
Like at the end of the day, me, Kabaji, and ML, we have been playing since day one, pretty much. I have for sure. I was literally there day one.
What happened to
And
Guardian?
Kabaji, you're always rank 1 in my heart.
Oh.
And
Unless Craggy's playing Sojourn, in which case you're right.
yeah, yeah. Well, when they nerf Sojourn,
I'll go Torp and Hammer. I swear to God.
actually true. Anyways, at this point, all three of us are like the old men at the porch. You know, we're sitting there complaining nonstop about everything and how it used to be better back in the day. But I have seen a lot of casual players be happy with the system because they're just chilling and they don't feel that pressure. You know, like they could have a bad day, but their rank is not going to go down because they need to lose 20 games. And they're like, okay, I'm still, you know, plat 1. I can go again tomorrow, right? Whatever. So I agree with ML that I do think the system should change after Masters and above, because there the game gets really, really competitive and people want to be really, really competitive. I agree that ranked is about you try-harding and caring, for sure. But a majority of people will not see it like that, and that's why they're in, some of them are in lower elo because they couldn't be bothered to play the game and try hard at the scale we are doing. I like the amount of time we spend on the game, and that's okay. At the end of the day, I think it's very important to satisfy the casual community as it is to satisfy us, because when we play the game, we bring in the hype and we excite viewers to play the game, right? When ML streams, right, and he plays support, as Kabaji said, and he's popping off, people are like, oh my god, I want to play Overwatch now as well. But if the game is inherently bad and it's boring to play and the system is bad and the streamer is not having fun, when people watch the game, they're gonna be like, oh, this isn't fun. I don't want to play this game. Like, my streamer is not having fun. So it's a very niche balance you need to achieve, where you can satisfy a majority of the players and also the minority, which are the high ranked individuals.
I agree. Compromise always a nice solution, and I'm glad we can come to one ourselves. I think started at Masters makes sense. If you say that that's where Open Division starts, then what you're saying is now you care. So, or now you care
not
enough.
Open Division. I don't know. I don't know exactly what it was.
Contenders, whatever.
But I remember I get something officially from Blizzard at the beginning, way back years ago. I don't think there are any restrictions right now.
There are not.
So. I think you can.
There are not.
There are.
Okay.
Not? Okay.
No, they're not. They're not. No.
Well, I think even when they had hero pools, that also started Master, right? So I feel like that's their threshold. Like, this is like, remember when they did the hero pool ban?
True, yeah,
so that's
exactly.
their threshold.
You're right.
So like, I think it's a fair. I think there's not many people I think who would disagree that, like, even up to Diamond, it's a bit scuffed. Not necessarily everyone is playing all the time or cares that much. But once you get to Master, you might even get you might get dragged into GM lobbies and all that stuff. So I think it makes sense from that point on to say, okay, well, this is the serious threshold now, and let's get going. Okay, Gavin, I just want to quickly respond. He quickly said something in chat. He says, ML's point is good. Top 500 tended to be more like what he described. I think we can do a better job of catering to what our most competitive players want. Big thumbs up. You won, ML. Gavin.
You did it. You did it. You fixed Overwatch. Congrats.
We all did.
Let's go!
Big thumbs up. Big thumbs up. Now, back to complaining. You were alluding to Sojourn there, and we kind of memed about it a little bit. There's a balance patch coming, but it does not touch on Sojourn. We had an Overwatch League grand finals. I wish I had the thing. I'll try and bring up the stats of what heroes were played, but
99.8%.
Yes, and all of them were being played all the time. Go ahead.
The only time they swapped from Sojourn was for Widowmaker first pick on first point attack on King's Go. That's it. For one shot or two, Happy took 2 shots and then he swapped. That's it.
Please nerf that character. I can't play the game. I'm
going to take it to our role expert, Kabaji, because Kabaji is suffering at the hands of not being, not slaving to the meta. Why? Can you explain, first of all, to someone who doesn't understand why Sojourn is broken or overpowered or whatever term you want to use?
Ask a counter question. Why do you guys think, whose job is it to kill a Sojourn? Another DPS, right? Another DPS. Usually, it
or
goes
the primal monkey, maybe.
Widow versus Widow. Yeah, there might be a diva who counters it, but if the team plays right, whatnot. So, from a DPS's perspective, I think the one thing that makes Sojourn extremely strong is her hitbox and her movement that is just on the extreme level, hard to hit, especially playing Widow. And because usually if the Sojourn hitbox wouldn't be as weird, or the movement wouldn't be as weird, I would counter with Widow and not go Sojourn at all. Because a lot of Sojourns, they make a lot of movemental mistakes because they don't get punished for it because their hitbox is so weird. That's what I've seen. So it might be, yes, that she wipes your entire team with the right clicks, with the damage, whatnot. But if another DPS hero would be able to easily counter instead of Sojourn, then it would be, you wouldn't see as many Sojourns, at least in ranked. I would just go Widow because, she needs to charge a shot, wait for the shot. She shoots into the shield or shoots someone else down. Someone takes the hit for the team, and boom, headshot. And then from there, we can keep on headshotting. And then she's gonna eventually get pissed off because she can't do anything. You hear this ends now, boom, dead. Yeah, it does. You did. You know what I mean? So I think the hitbox or the movement speed should be nerfed in a way where if she does have her charge up or something like that, that she gets slowed down while having the charge up. Because I see a Sojourn with her charge up in the corner of the map, crouching, waiting, like this. And then boom, you did. And everybody goes
Imagine if you scope in with Widowmaker, you get to 100 till the level that you can one-shot, then you unscope, You can grapple, you can unscope shot, and you land a one-shot headshot. It's
For
like
8 seconds. For 8 seconds.
For 8
8
seconds, exactly.
And if you're running out of you send one little pew at a shield and it goes back to 100 and you go another 8 seconds.
It's insane. Like if she charges up, the entire game turns into guys hide from the soldier. It's like again. Everyone's hiding, scared. You know, it's like, is she gonna shoot? Okay, she shot. Push in.
In my opinion, it's also like not that we're doing like complaining here. It's more like feedback. So the game doesn't like, you know, stay in a way that like people are gonna get frustrated, because what frustrates the people the most is the things that got already removed. Like for example, May freeze, like something that you just feel like absolutely like helpless against. Something like Doomfist one shot, like these things are already got all nerfed. Like Cassidy's stun, it's gone. Like stuff where you're like, dude, I couldn't do anything about it. You know, like you could kinda, but like the lower in your SR you go, the more like you feel like it's completely out of your hand. You know what I mean? So these things kind of got like removed. May freeze, for example, it doesn't freeze anymore except the ult.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, it kind of
I think that Sojourn's kit is super fun, and she's slowly but surely becoming a staple in the DPS category overall. I think that if you want to play Overwatch and you play Sojourn, they absolutely nailed the design. It's kind of like the same hype levels as a Genji, you know, like cool, super cool. But definitely the numbers need to be tweaked a bit, tuned down, so you actually have some counterplay. And yeah, we'll have to wait and see what they're gonna do with Hug, if they're gonna do something with Hug or not, number-wise.
I think all of the
But I
new
do think
characters
that-
are really fun. I'm sorry.
Yeah, exactly. Like Olaf agrees.
Olaf
Like,
like, "Weh."
they're super fun. They're nailing it. But I personally wish that they would adjust the numbers a little bit faster. And I know that from what I remember, there was like a blog post in which they said that we're taking our time at seeing if we're gonna nerf Sojourn or not, because players from Masters and down below and stuff don't have that much of a huge win rate compared to her win rate in Masters, GM, and stuff like that, because they know how they can use the kit. Well, then why can they use the kit like that? You know, like just nerf the strengths that the top ranked players are abusing, which is the amount of time that you keep the charge up. It's not necessarily nerfing the numbers precisely. It's about the windows of opportunity that need to be closed.
Isn't it also possible that like the people that were really good in with Sojourn, really low elo, just climbed really fast, so they're no longer in the set statistics, right? Like they just started playing Sojourn, they were really good at it, and they climbed instantly. And now Sojourn's gonna get nerfed, and they're gonna be like, okay, well, unlucky GGs, you know. So they're not gonna be included in the statistics in the first place.
Possibly, I'd like to think that that's something they account for, but I'm glad you brought it up, ML, because I have a semi rant about it, which is that this is from the Twitter Spaces, right? This what you're referring to is actually they did a little session on Twitter Spaces where they said, yeah, look, we know people don't like Sojourn right now. There's a lot of complaints, but we got to be careful how we like nerf her, because we basically, when there's a character like this, we want to address her high end without punishing her low end, because already in the metal ranks she's struggling. My little rant is that I feel like people really misrepresented the devs. Everyone, like, the headline became devs won't nerf Sojourn because she's bad in plat, that's not true. That's not what they said. They said we're looking at how to do it because we don't want to dumpster her further in the metal ranks. I feel like yeah, go ahead, Kabaji. You want to interject?
Can I ask like counter question? Okay, let's say like you're bronze, right?
Yeah.
The like lowest rank at the moment.
Not hard to imagine. Yeah, go ahead.
And there's a hero that, like, people say, let's say YouTubers and stuff like that, if you play this hero, you're gonna climb very easily, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you lacking like most things that, like, let's say a master player, as diamond player, plat player, whatever, you're bronze. You just started the game, you never played FPS before. So you go a hero that has a hard time getting punished, has a kit that, like, you know, can't really easily get punished. Like, for example, the jump of Sojourn, like it can't be easily get punished, right? The movement, you don't have to have like perfect movement. The average movement makes you have good movement with Sojourn, because the hitbox is so weird, and the you know, like, I tried it out. And now you see yourself in an SR where there's a lot of people that have other things that you don't have, but you played that hero to get to that point. And that is like always a thing with like heroes that are very strong in a season or something like that, where like you rank up and you don't need as many requirements for certain things like game sense, positioning, whatnot with that hero. But now like your win rate goes into the normality, and now you need to learn the things that you require to rank higher, because, you know, higher ranks have these things and they outplay you because of it. So like that, I think that's what's happening.
What you're talking about is meta boosting, basically, right? Where like a character boosts a person up, and then when that character, let's say, get nerfs later, that person is now sitting in an elo based off of the strength of a character.
Yeah.
So what's your question on it in that sense? You think that's why the Sojourn win rate isn't as high in the lower?
Yeah, exactly. On those SRs, because like, you know, like they have a certain amount of like, let's say, aim, stuff like that brought them there, but the other things are lacking. Because it is very hard to go from like one season from bronze to like master. Not everybody can do that, like out of nowhere.
Well,
you know
I want to. So let me chime in as someone who's not as good as you guys and who struggles at a hero like Sojourn. I can totally see that she would get like dumpster value in like gold plat compared to a different hero, because like because all the things you mentioned aren't even getting used in the ranks you're talking about. You know, the movement doesn't matter because people are walking in a straight line. So like having like a character that has slightly more finicky movement doesn't matter when everyone else is walking. Like people walking in a straight line anyways. You don't need to out juke them. You can just shoot them. And there's the problem. It's hard to shoot them because you don't have the skills to do it. And it's like when I play Sojourn, I'm like, okay, I can farm off her right click. I can hold it for 8 seconds. But when you miss the right click every fucking time, or when you body shot with the right click, could you not just have clicked fucking Hanzo and just shot the choke point all day long and eventually someone would run into it? Or you could, or this is why Reaper or Torb is strong, because like they just spam it with a shotgun that has a lot of damage in a general area, or the turret does, or like turret is the fucking best player in silver, by the way. Like Torb turret is literally the best player in silver. So like I'm open to the possibility that what you and Bogur are saying, that maybe Sojourn, the people who were good climbed up really quickly, and now the people who are left are not so good. And that's what's like deflating her win rate in some way. But I'd like to think that the devs have that possibility in mind. Like I think they would have figured this out if that was the case. Do you have anything to feedback? Go ahead, ML.
Sojourn is not that intuitive as, let's say, Torbjorn gameplay would be. Like with Sojourn, I feel like in order to learn how to climb the hero, learn how to play with her like fast and climb, you actually have to watch some Sojourn guides. I feel like, you know, like keep the charge, poke the shield, play from there, go angle. With Torb, I feel like you don't have to actually like watch guides and stuff, right? It's more intuitive. Throw the turret, spam, when you're low, press E. So this goes to Bogur's argument in which, yes, if you invest the time in the hero, you probably climb super fast. Compared to if you didn't invest, then you're like, kind of, like you just play for fun and stuff, then you're probably dragging down the statistics.
Yeah, and maybe the same for Kiriko, where it's like, well, you're a support. Should I spend most of my time healing? Well, no, this character has a triple headshot multiplier. Just headshot people. Oh, but I can't. Anyways, do you have any feedback on that? Because my rant was slightly different anyways. I ended up going on a different tangent. But do you guys have any feedback on what just been said, Bogur or Kabaji?
No.
No? Well, so here's what I wanted to say, which is back to the Twitter Spaces thing. I think we need to have a conversation in the Overwatch community about like proportionality.
What are you laughing at, ML?
I think just laughing at you.
I didn't have anything to say either. Like, you're so eloquent as VP. We can be like, yes, sir. You know, like you made your opinion was like bulletproof. You know, like what is there to say? Yes.
Well, if only the women in my life kept that attitude. But anyways, so the rant I wanted to go on is that I wish we had a conversation about proportionality of response in the Overwatch community, where I feel like in response to that Twitter Spaces thing, people lost their minds. People were like, oh my god, they're never going to nerf Sojourn because she's bad in plat. Well, that's not what firstly, that's not what they said. Secondly, I feel like people are forgetting very quickly that a month ago we were in the absolute dumpster land of Overwatch 1, where like the balance was way worse and we were getting no feedback from the devs, or like 2 months ago we were getting like 0 feedback from the devs. So I feel like if we start getting outraged at like when the devs come out and they make a very reasonable statement, which is we're figuring out how to nerf Sojourn in a way that doesn't dumpster her further in where she's already bad. That's a very reasonable statement. If we start yelling our lungs out at a very reasonable statement, like what incentive do you have as a game dev to then communicate with us further for more? Because it's like the catch-22. We're like, please communicate with us, and then they're like, yeah. Go ahead, ML.
Interactions. That's it, SVB. Like I feel like anything that a game developer would say, people would still find something to rage about. You can't win. I feel like no matter how they would have phrased with Sojourn, right? I feel like eventually we there would have been like another topic that people would have like caught up onto, you know, to like discuss and stuff, to like rage about. I feel like it's one of the direct consequences of transparency in gaming, and it's one of the costs of being transparent if you want to be a big game and stuff, which is exactly what they're assuming, and they said that they're gonna fix it probably in the future, better wording and stuff. But I do agree with you that it's very easy right now to like jump to conclusions, you know. So
yeah, I mean,
yes,
look,
of
there's
course,
always
moderation is good, but
it's always the internet, so like I'm not expecting the internet to suddenly behave overnight. Like that's not gonna. But I do think that like as members of the community, as potential leaders of the community, as what we are as content creators, we should also hold each other to account when people are. You know, I just think we shouldn't misrepresent the devs where they deserve flack, and hopefully we've given plenty in this podcast already. Where they deserve flack, we give flack, but it also doesn't do anyone any favors, ourselves included, to like misrepresent them or baby rage over again. And taking the bigger picture, like I feel like we're in danger, and I'm going to be very careful with the words I use here. We're in danger of becoming Apex Legends players, where our game is where our game is fucking thriving, and we're getting new content all the time, and we're baby raging because like they said that they won't nerf Sojourn yet.
I'll be honest. During the content drought, I played League, I played Apex, I played Valorant. Every single community is baby raging 24/7. Their game could be on top of the list. Everyone could be playing. It could be super. No matter what, they're baby raging. I'm sitting there playing League. I really enjoy League, right? And I like Dota as well. I like MOBAs in general. League gets so many patches all the time. I hear people complain, I can't believe how many patches League is getting. It's crazy.
It's true, it happens in Dota.
Shut the fuck up, man. Like, fuck.
Especially like Apex TikToks. You see like, you know, like an Apex like movement thing, and then suddenly
Overwatch TikToks.
Oh. I see your TikToks all the time, man. And Bogur, you need to put the shield down. So like the damage just, I'm like, Dude, I didn't even know that. I'm like, what? Really? Holy shit, subscribe. Nah, like, what I've seen is like a lot of people just baby rage. Like one person goes like, yeah, but like controller is aim assist, and then yeah, but like on controller we can't do like this movement, and like they fight each other off. I'm like, so this is also with them the same way as it is for Overwatch.
Yeah, I guess internet be the internet.
It's a loud minority, you know. These people that sit on Reddit and on Twitter and write the angry comments, they're like 50, 100, or even 1,000. But there's millions of players, and they're so happy, and they're just chilling, and they're playing their game, they're buying their skins. What?
35 million players have played Overwatch.
Yeah. And like, people are just enjoying the game, and people are just having fun. And there's like, oh my god, please nerf Orisa. She is so broke. Relax.
Actual footage.
I know what you're saying, SVB, with the feedback and stuff, but I think it's super difficult overall. My opinion is that people will always like find something to baby rage about and stuff, and it's
true. Yeah, and I can't blame, to some extent, I can't blame people because. Go ahead.
There's one thing though, if this is like the biggest issue from that entire talk, the fact that maybe they're taking a closer look to make sure they're not making a mistake, then that's a huge compliment to them, I think, with how good of a job they have been doing so far. If that's like the only thing that you can go in and, oh my god, wait, that's it? That should be the reaction, I feel like.
Well, that's what I meant with proportionality of response, right? Where it's like, if our biggest problem is that Sojourn is a little bit overtuned compared to like 3 years of double shield, no hellhole, nothing, no content, like we need to, like, you know, check where we're at. But yeah, unrealistic to expect our internet to behave. Bogur?
Can you imagine being a dev and like just working your ass off to make some content, and like something, like you working on this update, you're looking at the statistics, everything, and people are like, still, you're not doing your job, you don't understand the game. I just can't imagine. Like, I like criticizing the game, but people misunderstand criticism. They confuse criticism with just constant trash talk. Not even trash talk. I'm not exactly sure about the word, but saying this is bad is not really criticism. It's like you're not really giving a solution. You're
it's
just
like
saying
constructive versus just criticizing for the sake of criticizing, right?
Yeah. I like, people don't get it, and people just constantly complain about these things, but nobody gives a solution. I think, for example, for Sojourn, I think it's really stupid that she didn't get a nerf. I understand their logic. I don't agree with it, but I'm not going to sit on Twitter and be like, oh my god, you guys don't know what you're doing. Because my opinion only consists, is only important for a very small percentage of the player base. You know, like, if that choice of theirs is better for the game overall, then so be it. You know, whatever. I will take it. You know, whatever. What can I do?
I got a curious question. What do you guys think about hero bans, just one hero
No.
in each ranked game.
Yes,
How are you gonna do it?
I'm a
then?
fan.
big fan.
I'm a fan. I'm a fan.
How-
But
you've
not necessarily
you've
in-
inadvertently hit the
not
bingo
necessarily in
card.
ranked.
You've inadvertently hit the bingo
It would
card of this
change
podcast.
the meta out every game, and like every game, like it would be a little different. So you wouldn't even need to have to constantly nerf and buff and nerf and buff and nerf and buff. But you would just be like, oh, you know what? I'm gonna ban this.
Okay.
This is gone,
Okay.
and we can play this
Okay.
against that. More like team play, more like innovation, more like variety. You know, you'd be like, okay, if you ban Lucio, we can Lucio speed boost into them. So like we can just rush this comp, and they can do anything about it. And so they.
I
need to,
think
like,
they
figure
should
out,
be
okay, we
universal.
build a bunker.
I want to chime in. I think they should be like both teams should be for both teams. I don't think there's singular team bans.
Okay, how are you
Both
gonna
teams,
make
I
it
agree.
work though? Okay, what role do you ban? Can you ban any row? Who chooses the bans? Do we have enough heroes
Highest
if we
assault.
want to ban from each row? Highest assault.
Highest aside suggests 3 bans. I'm not joking,
I
and then
agree.
people vote. Or
Yeah, I think you
highest aside
vote.
suggests 2 bans, and then you vote, so it's 3-2.
I mean, in
think
Dota
there's
they
a
just
solution.
vote. They just vote in Dota, and then if there's a tie, like you can go random. Like it's not
Yeah,
that.
but Dota.
Yeah.
Okay,
It's
do you
less
want to
about-
ban one hero? And do you want to choose from every row, or do you want to ban from each row? Like, how do you want to
No,
work
just
it?
one hero. You choose one role. You can just like click on the role, and then you choose exactly that hero that it should be banned. And usually everybody agrees on one hero anyways. And like how Overwatch is, especially on EU. Why don't you ban Sojourn? Are you okay, man? This
Yeah.
is OP.
So let's say your team. Let's say the hypothetical scenario. Your team bans what you consider the wrong hero. Let's say yours Bogur. You're the only sane person in the lobby, and you're like everyone. We should ban Sojourn. Everyone's like, no. Torb is the broken one. Let's ban Torb. How is that different than if your team just decided to int on some stupid hero that they wanted to pick anyways? Like, how's that different if your
More
team just
power
rolled
to
out?
them. Let them in. God bless.
Yeah, but like,
No problem.
is it if they don't see Sojourn as a problem, would they have been people who would have picked Sojourn and played her well anyways? No. So your team, like,
No, of course
the
not.
argument that like your team, if your team banned the wrong hero, you lost. Well, your team, if they fundamentally misunderstand the game, they're already going to do stupid things as a consequence. So like, how is that fundamentally different? What it does give you the option to do is for the people who do know what they're doing, they fucking have control over their game. And again, if 5 people in your team or 4 out of 5 agree that this is the thing that this is the problem, then surely then they're right in feeling the way they feel and customizing their game.
Well, okay, I understand that. I'm gonna play devil's advocate. We have a lot of one
Yes.
tricks in this game. A lot.
Fuck 'em.
of one tricks. Yeah.
These
fuck
goddamn
'em.
I mean,
tricks.
I one trick all the time, but you
Bogur.
can't be like, but what about the one
Bogur.
tricks?
But I know, but from the perspective of a developer or people that like are gonna
Yes,
implement this change,
yes.
a lot of people are gonna be really angry with this.
Yes,
They're gonna
yes.
be really upset. So the question is, if we do this change where we add 1 ban per team, whatever, I don't mind it too much. Then do you hide who's on each team, so you can't like ban the one trick of somebody and just like focus them and make their day miserable?
Well, we
what
don't.
if
We
you stay
barely get to
inside?
see our own teammates' profiles at the moment, so I don't see how we'd
True.
snipe somebody else. We don't even see our
Yeah.
own
You
know
team's
what?
fucking SR, let alone their profiles. But yeah, go ahead, ML.
You know what I think would be a good idea to this? Because like I agree with one tricks and stuff and not making the game fun. So one of the main complaints, I've watched the entirety of playoffs, right, in Overwatch League. I was really curious with what they were playing and stuff. And you had mirror matchups, right? You had mirror matchups non-stop. And people were saying, same heroes, they did not buy the premium battle pass to have access to other heroes. Like from the casual player point of view, it felt like boring to watch the same heroes being played over and over and over. So I think that in order to remove from, we're not going to make the game fun for one tricks, for example, or for people that just want to play the hero in a certain rating, then maybe start by doing it in the pro scene, but not the way that they did it before. Before, remember, they tried for 1 month, they banned the top 3 heroes, randomized, I think, from a
The
list.
fucking
and then
cat, dude. The
Wait,
fucking cat.
wait.
It
It
eventually
wasn't
played
quite
the
like that. They had a cat
How was
choose the bans.
Please, they were some
my
serious.
bad.
I'm not
the cat
joking.
chose.
True.
There was a cat
Wait,
choosing
really?
the bans. Yes,
Yeah,
they had
Kabaji, do you not know?
Zoe's cat was choosing the bans. It was insane.
So I want to. So to be fair, I don't want to misrepresent again. So what they did was they would take the play percentages of certain heroes and they would narrow it down to like a certain selection, and then Zoe's cat picked from that selection.
Now I can blame
So
Joe's
as you can
cat
see, it
for
was
being
very-
unstuck.
I would say so. To continue my very serious argument here, because Bogur with a kitty cat. Although I did like that the cat chose, but it added a lot of randomness to this. And in a multi-million-dollar professional esports league, I think that this factor is kind of the team should ban. Number one, I think that the team should ban. And I'm gonna give you a very clear example. Let's say you're playing Shock versus, I don't know, Dallas, right? And Fearless said that they really didn't want to go on Circuit Royale against Coluge because his Sigma is really good. So what would happen if Dallas would pick Circuit Royale and ban Sigma? When Sigma is not meta, but he's meta on that map. And what would happen if Shock would reply with a Winston ban so that you sub out Fearless for Hanben? Like, you have like so many like storylines, and then what happens because you have Sojourn versus Sojourn? Do you ban Sojourn? Like, see what I mean? So many like intricacies, so much hype that I feel that would be amazing.
Same thing with League of Legends.
Exactly.
It's
hype,
what
you know,
makes it's what makes Dota and League really fun to watch, because it's an entire mind game of its own before the game begins. Who you're gonna ban, and what are they gonna ban, and how are you gonna respond? Like, it's really fun to watch. It's really fun to observe, and it's really fun to play around that, right? Because you cannot be a one-trick pony and do your own strategy, because they're gonna ruin it by banning the hero you're playing around. So it adds a lot of complexity, and it's really fun to watch, and it's going to solve the Overwatch League issue of the same comp over and over.
Yeah, and I think Overwatch will always do that. Overwatch League will always do that. Like, the teams, the evidence has shown us 9 out of 10 times if they will always boil it down to 5 heroes that are the best, or 6 heroes when it was 6. I don't think Overwatch 2 has solved that. I don't think it will solve it. I think that it's unrealistic to expect that the balance will be so good all the time that there'll be meta diversity versus just implementing a system that will always make sure there's meta diversity. IMO.
Even then, there will be a ban meta. In the first map, teams gotta ban Sojourn, Winston. Second map, they're open, you ban that. Third map, same, Sojourn, Winston, or stuff like
Possibly,
that. Possibly,
but go ahead, finish your point.
Go ahead. No, go ahead. No, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was gonna say possibly,
ahead.
But not both teams don't necessarily have the same incentive to ban the same hero. Because if let's say you're a shit team. Let's say you're like, okay, I don't want to diss anyone. I don't know, Washington Justice. You're the Washington Justice.
Whoa.
That's damn. Never gonna be sponsored streamer for Washington Justice. Rip. I guess.
No.
So let's say you're the Washington Justice and you're fighting, I don't know, the Dallas Fuel or whatever. You're obviously worse at the meta heroes than they are. So you have no incentive to, like, you don't want to ban the second tier. Like, so let's say the ban meta, right? You want to ban Sojourn. Dallas doesn't want to ban Sojourn because they know you're not going to fucking mirror them on it anyways, right? So they're going to try and counter what they think you're good at. Because you're going to try and enable your best strategy. They're going to try and enable their best strategy. And if you're two teams of disparate quality, those are going to be different things. This is what happened. This reminds me all the way back to GOAT's meta, when the Houston Outlaws, a famous example for some of you newcomers that might be here. When GOATS was being like hard run on every single map, the Houston Outlaws, their team was super, like their fan base was super mad at them because they were running Sombra and running it pretty well. Bogur with his giant bottle. And their fans were like, please run multi DPS comps and run Sombra because you guys are so much better at that than GOATs and you guys might actually win. And they were like, listen, you guys are fucking clueless, first and foremost. Secondly, it's not in our incentive to do this because like GOATs works most of the time. So we just gotta grind GOATs, and there's no point practicing this other comp because we'll lose on other maps. So in that kind of scenario, the Houston Outlaws now have power where they're like, look, we're just not as good as GOATs as the other guys. So we're gonna ban the things that enable GOATs the most. And then the other team would be like, let's ban Sombra to stop Houston Outlaws doing their Houston Outlaws thing. So there might be a ban meta for two teams that feel they're of equal level, but there wouldn't be for teams that are of disparate level. Like, and if the two teams are equal level, then they were gonna mirror pick each other. You know, they were gonna mirror pick each other anyways. Yes.
There's one big downside to this. It does make the pros' job harder.
Yes, I understand.
I wanted to say that if they're watching right now, they're like, now we need to practice more comps, more fucking heroes. Oh my god, no.
Every OWL coach I've ever spoken to about this is like, please fuck God, no, you're making my job 80,000 times harder because I can at least grind them on one comp, but now you got to make me grind them on 15 comps.
I remember with the hero bans when they were random, every week they had to forget everything and relearn everything, and every week it was a gamble whether or not you're gonna pop off because there's no way you're gonna learn a new comp in a week. Obviously this isn't the same thing. Yeah, I agree. Go.
Okay,
no, there's nothing else.
Wouldn't that be hype?
I think so.
That be hype?
I would.
It
would
much
show
like
more often, and I would like think, oh my god, like that team has like such a good strategy around like their best players and stuff like that. Like I would watch it more often.
it would highlight the best players a lot more, like
Yes.
the most flexible,
Exactly.
the best. Like
And who
it
can
will
adapt the
because
fastest.
now
And the
you
coaches.
might- yeah, because now you have highlights on the Sojourn player or the Kiriko player or whatever, but that isn't necessarily the best player. The best players are really flexible and can play around a lot of things, right? So those players would really shine because they're really flexible and can play a lot of things and learn really fast as well. So that would be fun. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Also,
Kabaji.
go ahead, Kabaji. You got something to say?
No, there's nothing. There's nothing.
I was
I
gonna say
got
also
something to
it allows the because the reason you get hyped by Overwatch League is like there's certain heroes that are stars on a certain hero, right? Like you don't want to see I don't want to see Kabaji have to force to flex on a Sojourn. I want to see him play Tracer. So ironically, people often say, well, hero bans will stop him. No, hero bans means that when Sojourn is hard meta, he can ban Sojourn and actually run Tracer. And if they want to then counter Tracer because they're like, we're so afraid of Kabaji's Tracer, well, they're losing out because mL7 is now going to get to run Ana and Bogur is going to get to run Monkey because they didn't ban either of those two on his team. So it's like somebody always wins, whereas when there's a hard meta, everyone's losing because they're all having to play the same 5 heroes. And yeah, okay, some guy like Proper is the best Sojourn or whatever, so he wins, but it's not necessarily the thing that he was iconic for, if you get me.
What?
And they also like change with every map because like every map has obviously like other heroes that are much
Yeah.
stronger. Like on
Changes every
King's, for
map.
example, you're not gonna play certain heroes that you would play on. I don't know.
Can we all
Like on
agree on the
Ilios.
fact that it would be way more enjoyable for the casual viewer that would tune in for a 2-hour series in Overwatch League to watch? That would be way more enjoyable than it is right now without bans.
Also, coming back to
Yes.
like pros have to do more. If the viewership goes up, if the sponsors go up for Overwatch League because like it's more entertaining to watch and everything, that means their salary is gonna go up too. So like everything just goes up with itself.
Purely.
So,
Those are the contenders player. Contenders player talking.
surely.
Yeah, look, I don't want to sit here and be like this would be better for the coaches, so we should do it. And it's like, because obviously we're not. It's not our job. But as a viewer, as a fan of Overwatch, as a fan of someone who wants your Overwatch League to succeed, I feel like it would make me want to watch more. Because my job is fucking Overwatch, and I get bored of watching the Overwatch League because I'm like, oh snap, the same fucking 5 heroes again, doing the same fucking 5 things. Oh shit, I guess I really missed out in that last game with the same fucking 5 heroes doing the same fucking 5 things. So it's like I'd
there
rather
was
see
viewing
something
channel.
interesting. So
I
So,
really hate
Overwatch
watching
League,
Overwatch
yes.
League.
I love watching it.
I hate it. It's so boring. to
I
me,
don't
I'll
like
be
it.
honest.
I don't enjoy
So,
it.
I
so
don't like-
Overwatch League would be hype. Would contenders be hype as well, or open division?
Nobody
to
cares
have
for
hero
what
bans?
contenders.
Okay, fine. Then add it there as well, because they're grinding for
Yeah,
Overwatch
yeah.
League. Okay.
Contenders just gets the the
The
leftovers.
big question.
What?
The big question is, do we want to see the hero bans in ranked games? So tournament-wise, for viewers, you want to watch that, right? But do you want them to have it in your games, in Masters, in Platinum, in Bronze? Where do you draw the line with ESR? And do you draw the line with ESR? And how do you set up the system, right?
I think it's way more necessary in OWL than anywhere else. Firstly, like I think it really should be in OWL. Really, really. I even though I'm a big proponent of hero bans, if you said only in OWL and not in ranked, I'd be like, fine, that's fine. That's a compromise I'm fine with. I think like everything else we've spoken about, there could be a ranked barrier to it. We had hero pools only for Master Up. Remember when they did cat bans, it was still Master and Up. So it wouldn't. For those people who are like bronze and like, please don't ban my bash and one trick, like it wouldn't. It doesn't matter there. So it wouldn't matter for the majority of players. We're just talking again, the competitive experience. I think eventually people would be like, well, if the pros get to do it, why don't I get to do it? Am I not supposed to be replicating the competitive experience of pro and you're not letting me have this core feature of their game?
Then what's gonna happen?
Imagine
Is,
banning
like,
Farga.
Go ahead, Kabaji.
everybody's gonna be like, yeah, like I'm stuck in silver because I can't ban Sojourn. You know what I mean? Like it's just gonna be like, even if it's not 100% necessarily true, but you need to give everybody the same kind of opportunity. Like for example, just letting people in top of 100 ban and in Overwatch League, but everybody down below like not. That would not, in my opinion, be a good idea. I think it would like make more of a difference the higher you get up, like especially in Overwatch League, like it would make a huge difference, like the bans in itself, but like the lower you get.
It's not needed in ranked. It would be interesting. I just think it would. I think people would eventually ask if we all kind of, I guess, roughly agree that it should be at least thought about in Overwatch League. I feel like at a point in time, people would be like, "Well, why can't I have hero bans in GM?" Because I'm also sick of Sojourn, and I also want to ban Sojourn.
One of the things also that I wanted to mention is like, I think one of the reasons why probably some people don't like dislike like watching Overwatch League, what I've seen is, yeah, the same comps, but the reason is probably because their heroes don't get to get played. Like imagine you like a certain hero the most to play, right? And yeah, you see like the team play of like that team to another team, and like it hypes you up. But then after a while, you want to be like, where's the Torp, man? Where's the Symmetra pick at? You know, or like where's the Cassidy pick at? But it's always the same heroes. Then you're like, I wish my hero would get played. Then I could like, you know, get hyped about it and like play like that, like player that is like absolutely rolling everybody on that hero. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean,
So
we're
those bans would make that much of a difference in that term.
I mean, we could spitball this for this is like a whole podcast in itself, like the whole hero ban discussion and all that. I do want to be cognizant that we're about to, you know, we're running towards the time I said you guys would do. So I want to bring it back to the topic, ostensibly the role debate. So let's just get some more things out the way. I think a lot of questions. So I'm gonna look at some of the questions you guys have put in the group up question Discord channel. A lot of support based questions, ML. Firstly,
yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah. So firstly, what can be done to improve the support queue times? And secondly, is the support queue times and the lack of support players a reason why the matchmaking is so scuffed? And all of you guys can answer after ML, but yeah, go ahead.
So I would say that first things first, Blizzard actually needs to realize that there are 3 roles in the game: DPS, tank, and support, not healer, support, as I was saying. Very important distinction, because a lot of people think that they're healers, so they heal, so they lose games, when it's called support, so you don't actually only need to heal. So anyway, my rant is over with this. But they need to make the role interesting to play. If you play a role that is very punishable, if you don't have proper cooldown management, perfect aim, perfect positioning, and even if you do, you might win, might not win, because you might get a kill with the nade, but then your teammates might die. You might get some headshots with Kiriko and win the fight, but then your teammates might die. Then that role is not going to be rewarding and fun to play, so you're going to have less support players overall, because you get the same results, right? You get the same, you get lower results, I mean, because you're way more punished than others, I guess. So the thing that I want Blizzard to do, my 2 cents, is I think that they should lower cooldowns on supports, so they decrease how punishable they are if you invest a bad cooldown, and make the abilities a little bit weaker. That's what I would like to see. So for example, instead of Ana's nade, I don't know, anti-nade full HP on you, make it, I don't know, you get 50% less healing and stuff like that. So that if you want to go and get more value, and if you miss, then you don't feel like you're at the point of no coming back. Because like with Tracer, I guess you dash in a bad spot. Okay, maybe I dodged 1-2 seconds, I have dash again, I'm out. As a support, if you invest a bad ability and you miss, you're done most of the times. So that's one thing that they could do. But primarily, Blizzard should literally, seriously, from the deepest parts of my heart, pay attention to the support role, because unfortunately, if only 2 roles are fun to play, then the game's not going to thrive. You have to take into consideration everybody. Tanks got a lot of reworks. It's only 1 tank. DPSs have a lot of heroes to begin with, so they're super fun to play. But I feel like supports overall got the short end of the stick. So the more attention they bring to the role, the better it's going to be. With queue times, with experience, and player experience and stuff.
I have a personal question to you, mL7. In terms of like impact, in Overwatch 1, you seem like that supports had more impact, right? That's what you would be saying. That in Overwatch 1, they had like more impact. It was just more satisfying to play, because like if you hit that 1 nade, if you hit that sleep, like you feel like it's actually making an impact, a difference in the team fight.
In case you miss them, then there's another tank that can cover up for your mistake.
Exactly.
This is why it might feel more fun.
So what happens is the reason why that is, isn't it because the fights are slower? It's not like immediately decided by a pick of someone or something happening. So the fights are slower. So you get to like have more like abilities towards the end, like towards the end of the fight. Because one of the tanks dies, one of them can make up for it, and the fight still goes on. Now one of the tanks dies, boom, everybody's dead. Or like Sojourn gets a pick, boom, the fight is actually lost. So the fights are so fast that you don't get to do anything, because you miss one ability, it's already over, because the fight is so fast.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was saying. It's the fact that the goal is too punishable. You miss, it's done.
Yeah.
So it's way easier to punish them, you know?
Yeah, so Kabaji, what you're saying is that the changing pace of Overwatch 2 means that we're kind of changing the emphasis of how support works, right? Whereas in a slower game, their cooldowns are big when the game moves slower. So everyone's cooldowns were being cycled slower. right? But now that everyone's cooldowns and actions are being cycled faster, the support role needs to also be able to cycle their cooldowns faster. Bogur?
What? Are you asking me about supports?
I'm asking you to fucking participate in the podcast, Bogur. Respond to what was fucking said.
Listen, I think support role is really hard to carry with because, for example, how are you? Kiriko is really good because Kiriko can TP and help your team, right? But if you're playing Ana or whatever, and your team is constantly playing aggressive, then you just abandon your Ana and she dies unless she saves her cooldowns. And just like mL7 said, if you use her cooldowns, you're dead. Like, I see an Ana without Sleep Dart, she's dead. There's nothing for her to do. I genuinely think that there should be some changes for support, because support is just not fun to play. I don't like playing support. What are you even supposed to play with support? Before, you could play more aggressive with Lucio and stuff. You can't do that anymore. You're just peeling all the time because there's no other choice but to PO 24/7 on Lucio. Before, you could do Reddit Lucio stuff and still get rank 1. You can't do that anymore. You just have to go in. You just have to go in and PO for your team. That's it. And the game is so fast. And you have to play proactive heroes. Otherwise, you're just going to lose in value. For example, this is why Mercy is really bad. She's just not proactive. Like, she's really mobile. And I remember mL7 said, yeah, if she becomes meta, it's going to be really hard to kill her. And people are going to hate her. But she's just not proactive, you know? Like, you can't do much unless your team is actually good at the game. And even if they are, if the enemy team is playing full dive, you just die every fight. It doesn't matter how mobile you are. They're just going to zap you around. You're dead. And that's one of the issues with support. And then you have Moira players who are just running around DPSing. I had a game today where the Moira player had 10k damage. The enemy team Moira. She had 10k damage, okay? And the other two DPS combined had less damage than her, okay? But at the same time, is it her fault for not healing the DPS? Or is it her DPS's fault for them being bots? You know? Like, it's hard to choose. What are you supposed to do in support? You either go in and pop off, and you don't have a choice. I have a choice.
You don't know what to do.
You don't know what to do. What are you supposed to do? If you go in, you're gonna die. You're gonna go in with your cooldowns. You're gonna die, right? And if you don't go in, you can't carry the game because your team are bots.
So
it's hard, like
ML, your suggestion. Will that solve this? Go ahead.
It's literally the fact that Blizzard, when they were making Overwatch 2, I feel like they completely disregarded the support role with this. And I know that I sound like a blunt hammer, that's a saying, I don't even know. Like a broken record, right? But realistically speaking, we didn't get a lot of number changes. We didn't get
you barely got any changes.
We got nerfs,
you only got nerfs. Oh, you only got nerfs.
Cool, a support passive. You know, like, it's...
Support passive doesn't help in the middle of the fight. It only helps you in between fights.
It doesn't
really.
help. It doesn't. They have to decide. They have to have a meeting, right? So Blizzard needs to go like, hello, I am Blizzard 1. I am Blizzard 2. What do supports have to do? Do they become healers? Do they become damage dealers? Do they only provide utility? Do they play Bear Grylls Simulator and try to stay alive as much as possible? What should a support do? And let's adjust the cooldowns, adjust the heroes to that. This is why my suggestion would be, because I feel like support should be able to heal, should be able to damage, should be able to survive, which means mobility on everybody, lower cooldowns on everybody, maybe make cooldowns abilities less strong, so if you lower the cooldowns, because that's like a buff. So there are a lot of discussions here and there, but TLDR Blizzard needs to just stay out the goal and have a good discussion on. I
just think that support should be more proactive. The other two roles are really proactive, and when you're a support player, you can be proactive, as mL7 said, but you're gonna get punished for it. But the other two roles are not gonna get punished for being proactive. And when you're a solo queue player, you need to be proactive to climb. You can't just be passive. That's my opinion. Like, in this game that's really fast paced and really like aggressive and stuff, because it's fun like that. The support role is just being shafted aside, and they're like, you stay there, you try not to die, and if you die, we lose the game because of you. But if we don't pop up, we still lose the game. Yeah.
And it's not fun. Players are not playing. Increased queue times, lower player base, and stuff like that. So.
Well, yeah, increase queue time for the other roles as well, right? Because when I phrased this question, I said do something about support queue times, and chat was like, "What do you mean they're low?" Yeah, that's the problem. That means no one's playing the role, right?
Yes.
That's the
Swap
problem.
support so I don't have to wait 30 minutes in queue. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, and this is obviously the queue time problem. Kabaji, on the other side of it, I see a lot of people complain. Well, supports can already outduel a DPS. BAP already better soldier. Do you feel like it's
Yeah,
a
but like they
problem?
don't really have the time to do that.
Yeah,
Like they need to
exactly.
heal.
Too
If
many
they don't heal,
responsibilities?
If the Baptiste and Kiriko shoots me, that means half the team is dying because they're not healing. I don't have to do that. Like that's the whole point. I understand. I think like I would call it out if like one of the like I get Kiriko right click melee and I'm insta dead like as Tracer for example. But that doesn't make me as mad as like back in the day Bridget like stunning you and then like in that stun you're dead and she has 350 HP. Like that was different. Like when Bridget just got released, I was like I had to go to the mountains, meditate up there, and try and figure out what to do against the Tracer because I knew like they're not gonna get nerfed easily. But saying that, I think, I see like that a lot of supports in terms of like I don't ever like see a support and be like, oh my god, that was an insane play. Like you see here and there occasionally grenade, right? Like occasionally grenade. But back in the day, I would be like mL7, the fucking oh my god, like that, and that would like completely turn the fight over. You know what I mean? And I want that also for support to be able to do that. Yet now you just hear this is ending now, or whatever Soldier's saying, and then. Like, well, what do you do as support when you're not on Ana and sleep, or like you just tell your team to duck? Please, guys, duck, hide.
Don't
I
peek.
just had a small epiphany, which is that in a game that is now all about individual playmaking, support is still the only role that's like serve the team first, right? Like the whole emphasis of tank from Overwatch 1 was, look, tank is boring because it's just about dying for your team all the time and like just absorbing endless amounts of damage for very little reward. And in Overwatch 2, they were like, well, tanks are now Giga Chads, and like they just tank everything, and they never die, and you can YOLO and kill 3 people yourself. And then there's supports, and DPS now with one less tank can do more themselves, right? They go out, they can do whatever they want, they get kills, that's how they win the game. Supports now are like, by the way, we want you to just spend your life getting everyone else up, but also if you want to carry, you got to start doing the other things. But if you do that, everyone else will die and blame you. So it's like, in a game we're like, go ahead.
Not to mention also that you're punished for doing damage to tanks or healing your tank because you get less ultimate charge.
Yeah.
So you don't even have that strength as a. Yeah, it's.
So it's like they're still being asked to serve their team, right? It's like, and even if you think about like the playmaking Kabaji talked about, Ana's like, I don't know if you agree, ML. I feel like she's one of the worst supports to play right now because it's like so punishing, right? It's like it's just like you miss compared to like playing a Moira or playing even Kiriko. Like there's so much more team utility. Yeah.
Any hero that you play in is left uncontested is broken, but in theory, with how hypermobility is taking over the game, Ana and Zenyatta are having a rough time.
I think that every hero that's like sitting there AFK and doesn't have mobility is just screwed over. Like, what are you gonna do? Like, they're just gonna dive you, and even if you sleep somebody, the other 4 people are gonna kill you, and that's it. The end of the game. Unless your team plays around you, it's not gonna work. And even if they play around you, you're still probably gonna lose the game.
I've actually had a game today with Ana that I felt like I could have done things. You know, I felt like I could have won. It was the last minute. And the pillar was stopped in a certain way in which I had to have very specific LOS. And I saw that my Sojourn was spamming, I need healing, I need healing, I need healing, I need healing on a Smurf and pushing in the spawn trying to get some charge up. So I drop from high ground, I try and pocket, I back out, and then Cloudy just spins and shatters me. Because I drop from my good position, I don't have mobility to climb back up, and then the game is lost.
Yep.
So it's mobility.
Quick. So we're gonna go quick fire questions now to get through. So mobility creep. You think it's a real thing, ML?
Yes.
What can be done?
Give mobility to other supports because you're not gonna remove mobility from support.
Yeah,
For example, if Ana nades herself, move faster. That's an example.
Sure. I think you should definitely
move faster.
You should definitely not remove mobility, just give more mobility options to other supports. Because I like the mobility, it just feels bad when you're playing a hero that doesn't have mobility.
Kabaji?
I personally think that supports benefit more from mobility that allows them to get to high ground than any other type of mobility. First off, become invulnerable like Moira Fade or Kiriko TP. Secondly, get to high ground somehow. Thirdly, Cassidy combat role, which sucks. But
doesn't
it can take a Reinhardt charge?
People.
What's that?
What?
Doesn't the new tank slow people in a sphere or something like that?
Ramatra, yeah. Well, I think he has this. They've shown that there's some sort of sphere, and there's like some restrictive ability. I'm not sure exactly what. But yeah, so that'll fuck. What you're saying is that'll fuck over supports even more. Is that what you're alluding to?
Because I'm like thinking because either you give everybody like the same amount of kind of speed, right? Because you can't really like play Zenyatta and then you have a Moira who's flanking and then you're alone as Zenyatta and everybody just dives you insta dead. Like you can have good movement, good positioning. They're gonna look out for you and you're just dead, or you have no impact. So like I see that from a lot of Zenyatas, and to be able to make Zenyatta work now, it's extremely hard. So like with that means that they want to go towards like more of a slower pace game because they bring out the tank that like slows like people in a sphere.
Hmm.
We will
Okay,
see.
question-
We don't know. Like we don't know. We will see. I'm sorry.
We will see. No, good point. Question for Kabaji: should DPS one shots be a thing?
Should then DPS what?
One shot like Sojourn, Widow, Hanzo.
I think it has to have a good amount of like risk reward, just like Widow, or like you have to take an aggressive position in a way that like you could be punished for it. And Sojourn at the moment, she can fly from a different fucking like point into you and boom, or like from like long range, boom. And I feel like that most Sojourns also play that way because the higher you get in SR, one pick is already like huge, and that usually like makes your entire team roll over. So
Yeah.
I think like it should be more of a like risk reward should be like closer to each other rather than one like it has much more risk. Like Widow needs to stand still, scope in, wait for the scope to activate, and then shoot. And while she's doing that, no damage at all. While Sojourn is like, and then she jumps, whoop, dead.
100%. I think it breaks their own rules because, like you said, Widow has to do this. Even Hanzo slows his movement when he's drawing his bow,
Yeah,
right?
but it's scoped, yeah.
So, and where Sojourn, it's also a hip fire, so you don't even have to scope. Forget about moving slower. You just AD. Pff. So, anyways, and guys, if you have any questions for Bogur, because we've got mostly support questions here. Everyone's very curious about the support role, but if you got questions for the other guys as well, ML, what would you do with Mercy? She cannot do anything without her team. She's very team reliant, so you're gonna take away the giga mobility she's already got.
That's bait. That's bait.
I'm writing a tweet longer than mL7. mL7.
I personally like how Mercy's how her kit is. I personally like how her kit is, and I do agree though with Bogur about the fact that she needs to have more aggressive opportunities. So I have no idea how you do that. So you shouldn't change the guess. You shouldn't change the GA. You shouldn't change the mobility. Maybe tweak it a bit. You shouldn't change Valkyrie. You shouldn't change the healing or damage boost. But maybe give her a machine gun when she damage boosts somebody so she can shoot the enemies. That would be nice. I'm trolling, of course, but an opportunity to inflict damage on the enemies other than with swap from the staff and then pull the pistol and stuff, even if the hitbox is a little bit ridiculous, would be nice so you can be more proactive. Because realistically speaking, for all the Mercy players out there, tell me it doesn't feel absolutely amazing when you pop the Valkyrie, you pull out the pistol, and you get 1 or 2 kills in the back and then come back. I don't understand why you have to wait for an ultimate to be able to do that. Maybe before you get the ultimate, have an aggressive idea. Have an aggressive an aggressive way of doing damage rather than just putting the pistol when you should be healing or damage boosting and pew, 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 pew. I don't know what, though. I'm really confused. I've always been confused about this.
Well, this is why game deving is hard. I do want to say that I agree with ML that, like, if Mercy becomes meta, I'm calling in now. There's going to be so much baby rage about her movement because it is crazy. It is crazy.
But it is super fun.
Insane.
It is super fun. But not for the guy who's trying to shoot at her.
If you're like diving with Winston or like anything, she just goes one direction and goes the other direction. It's like
it's impossible to primal juggle her anymore.
Because like the more crazy it gets, the more
it's like an aim trainer.
Yeah,
Kabaji, the true grinder. He's like, can I adapt?
It's super unpredictable.
What if Mercy would be able to instead of like damage boosting allies, she could use the damage boost on the enemies like Wind and Zap. So Bogur could play support as well and zap people. You know, so like you don't pull out the staff, you just, if they dive you and stuff and you're alone, just zap them or pull out the pistol. That's an idea, for example.
Good idea. And I was going to quickly say, guys, again, please don't ping the creators or anything like that. Just ask your questions. Can't get all of them. I'll try one more for now. With tank being potentially more disproportionately impactful, is there something to be said about the matchmaking of the tanks being more important than ever? Like making sure the 2 tanks on the both teams are equal skill, Bogur? Because like let's say you have a tank that's that's slightly higher rank, that's not the same as potentially the other players when you're balancing them. You get what I'm saying?
I think that it's very important, but I think what's more important is what tank you play, in the sense that even if you play against, Cloudy, and Cloudy is doing his flanking thing, you could be a low GM or a Masters player. If you just play, I don't know, hog or something that Cloudy can't do anything against, or even D.Va, and just fly around, you know, just be annoying, what is he gonna do? He won't be able to do much. He's gonna be annoying as fuck. And I do think that if you do get a game where you're, for example, it's Zara meta right now, and you get like some random player against the rank 1 Zara, you're just gonna lose the game. But at the end of the day, that's gonna happen with most roles anyways. That happens with Sojourn at the moment anyways. You know, like if the enemy team has the really good Sojourn and you don't have a good Sojourn, you're just gonna lose the game anyways, right? Um, it's important to understand that this applies to every role except support, and depending on what heroes people play. Because even if somebody in the enemy team is playing is higher SR, if they're playing Doomfist, you still have a good chance of winning the game. You know what I mean? I think like depends. Like depends. I think just the matchmaking is, if you get a bad tank, you're just gonna lose anyways. What can you do?
Mm-hmm. Okay, let's head over now because I know I'm taking a lot of you guys' time. Concluding thoughts. Each of you, please tell me what you want for your role come season 2. So I'll give ML a lot of time to think about this because I think he's got probably an essay ready to go. So, you want to go?
I have one word, actually.
One word?
Yeah, I have one word. Attention.
Attention. Give supports love. Okay, I see what ML's going to say. Olaf agrees as well. Kabaji, what do you want from your role come season 2?
I think the DPS role is actually very impactful when you play the right heroes.
I
don't
think so
really,
too.
I don't really see like I personally don't play much Sojourn. I like sometimes enjoy like Sombra and stuff like that, but I think it's very impactful. I don't see much to change.
Mm-hmm.
Like obviously, I love playing Tracer, and Tracer at the moment like is just not as much value as like a hero like Sombra or like Sojourn, because in the time that you're like doing your thing, they are doing their thing much better and faster, and you need to like exactly like mL7 said on support, you need to like do everything, like every little decision right, or else it's just punished so easily. And as Tracer, you also get so easily punished, and other heroes are just like as impactful and less punishing. So like from that state point, I think it would be just too biased. I would say the DPS is okay, and at the moment certain things are getting nerfed. I think Sojourn should really have a movement speed nerf where like in that time you can actually shoot her, so she can get punished for whatever mistakes she's doing.
That's an interesting suggestion. I haven't heard that one, but yeah, what you're saying is when she's 100 charge, she kind of moves slower, so you can't AD like mad.
In that moment, so she can't just like hold it for too long and just run around and like be like, I'm still shooting, my charge is still 100, and especially like she can shoot shields and still keep her charge 100. That is, like I said,
I like that a lot. I like that suggestion because people have said about like remove the headshot potential for the railgun, but then that reduces the skill of the one shot, right? So I like that suggestion. It's a good one. Bogur.
Can I go again after Bogur? SVP?
Yes, sure.
After Bogur.
Sure.
Okay.
Sure.
I think I just want to add for the DPS thing. I think after they nerf Sojourn and Sombra and whatever else they're gonna nerf, I think DPS is gonna be a lot worse. You know what I mean? I feel like right now DPS feels impactful because of these OP heroes, but once you remove these OP heroes, you nerf them, I feel like tanks are just gonna dominate 99% of the games. You know what I mean? I think that's the only thing that gives the PS an advantage is how OP Sojourn is. I mean, not the only thing, but you know what I mean. And once you nerf that, what are you supposed to do? I honestly think that almost every DPS hero right now is absolutely horrible when I'm on tank, when I play against them. Like, what is a Widow gonna do? They're gonna die. Like, what are they all gonna do? The only thing that's scary is a Reaper and a Sojourn and a Sombra, and that's it. Once they nerf that, I feel like it's gonna be really hard, and DPS players are gonna complain a lot. Anyways.
Well, no, but that's a very good point. So what do you say? What is your suggestion then? You feel like
I think they should buff
more
some DPS heroes. I think the DPS heroes are just, like Cassidy. It feels so bad. Like I haven't played Cassidy, but when I play against him, he doesn't feel scary at all. You know, he's like, you're dead. I jump you. You're dead. Widowmaker, same thing. I jump her. She's dead. Like Hanzo, they all feel useless.
But whom are you comparing it to though? You're comparing it to Sojourn in itself. Because when you jump Sojourn, you're dead.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I know.
Wow, okay.
I don't want there to be a moment where after you nerf Sojourn, DPS role feels like the support role. You know what I mean? Like, because I have a slight feeling this will happen because Sojourn and Sombra and Reaper kind of balance things out so you can actually do stuff most of the time. But now that you nerf these things, I fear that what if the DPS role becomes like the support role and just the tank role is just the king of everything? I don't know. I'm just
Well, this is so
giving
beautiful
this as an
because
idea.
You wouldn't complain though.
yeah,
I wouldn't complain, but I don't want I don't want the other people to like sit there and just get rolled every game anyways, you know. It's not fun for me either, you know. Yeah. Like it's always fun when everyone has fun. It's always fun to watch play of the game from support players and watch them pop off, and from DPS players. I miss like crazy Tracer plays. I miss crazy Cassidy plays. It doesn't happen anymore. Every single compilation is Sojourn, Sojourn, Sojourn. And I want this to happen, but I feel like they won't get the opportunity. Anyways, let's talk about tank role. I'm sorry that I went into this, but I just felt like I had to
No,
talk about
I think it's
it.
beautiful. No one can accuse bias because the DPS players arguing that DPS are fine and tank players are gonna buff them, man, buff them. So
Yeah,
one
I
can accuse you
honestly
guys of
think they
bias.
should get some buffs. I'll be honest. I DPS feels really bad.
But for
when
tank, yeah.
Anyways, yeah. For tank, I think a lot of the tanks are really good. But for example, Doomfist and Orisa have really bad ults. I just want these ults to be changed. They're horrible. I don't think the characters themselves are that horrible if you can play them. Orisa especially, it doesn't take much skill to play that. But the ultimates just make them really bad. Because if you're playing the game and you're playing it correctly, you win the fight and then you maintain space and momentum by using your ults. But Orisa and Doomfist do not allow that to happen. That does not happen. You never get any value from these ults whatsoever. And I think they should change them for sure. I also think that I'm excited about the Zarya and the Diva changes. Maybe something should be done about the rock, paper, scissors thing. I don't know if it's the right thing or not. It's annoying. I don't like playing it like that. Maybe it's an issue only in high ranked. It's not fun for me to just constantly swap because you can't even do anything. I mean, you can do something, but you're not even playing the game. You just swap. Yeah,
No, it happens all the fucking
think,
time. It happens every.
But I think tank
all
is
the
good. I
videos.
think tank is fun. Tank is great. I like tank. Just some small changes.
Maybe they could remove the 30% passive or for tanks only. Keep it for supports and DPSs. So you
Maybe,
don't encourage swaps that much.
Yeah, that would be good. Honestly, maybe it's a good idea.
Yeah. Okay. ML.
So I said earlier, obviously with only one word that supports going in what in season 2 you said in the future.
Yes. Yes. Season 2. Coming
Okay.
Season 2.
Attention. What I mean with attention is that I feel at this moment with how fast queues are for supports, because not a lot of people are playing support, I think that they should take risks. If they want to take risks, they should take them now. This includes reworks, this includes insane buffs, this includes insane nerfs. They should take risks and see what a support should do, how can we make the support role fun? Because right now you're at risk of people trying out the game. They're gonna stick with playing DPS and tank, grind for a year or two because support is not fun for them. And then we're gonna still have insane queue times. And I feel like you need to make the role fun. And the only way you can make the role fun is by taking risks. Giving Ana a grapple hook. Giving Mercy a machine gun. Things like these, like just spitballing ideas, things that you do on an experimental patch. Maybe bring back experimental patches, so we can see if it's a good idea or not, That would
They
be
should
nice.
bring back the creator ones. Those were funny.
True.
Yeah,
And
they were funny.
we gotta make the goal fun. I'm sorry to say it, because it affects DPSs as well, it affects tanks as well, it affects everybody. It affects casual players, affects pro players, affects content creators. You have to make the role fun. And if you're not gonna make the role fun right now, then what's gonna happen in a year or two when already people have stopped playing because support hasn't been fun, historically speaking, when they first started playing the game or after they come back. So Blizzard, please take risks and pay attention to the role, because it might be one of the reasons why the game, one of the ways actually why I feel like the game might be able to perform better and make a better experience for everybody.
Yeah.
Thank you for
and
the
I
clap,
guess
Kabaji.
It's a good
I
point.
heard the clap.
He was
I just
like
want
that.
every role to be fun. Like tank is fun.
Yes.
I want support to be fun. I want DPS to be fun. I don't want only 2 heroes in the DPS category to be fun. I don't want only 1 hero in support to be. Not every single one has to be fun, but have a wide array of heroes to choose from that are playable and fun.
Well, the dream of Overwatch 2 was go pick whatever you want and have fun, right? And I don't think we're that far from it. I think the truth is that they've done an amazing job. I don't think we're that far. I do think, though, like you said, Emma, it's a good point that we've got a lot of new players right now. The last thing you want is for them to look at the support role and be like, that role is dog. Like, I don't want to play that role. I don't want to touch it. And then they commit themselves to another role. And maybe they would have made great support players, but they just got put off by it the way people got put off with tank and just stopped playing. Or maybe a reputation get developed, right? Where it's like with Overwatch 1, by the end of it, tank was just like, don't bother with that role. It's just a shit role. So we don't want that reputation for support. And Gavin did say before he left, he might still be here, but he said earlier when he was communicating, they're looking at supports the most right now. He's like, we're heavily looking at supports right now. So hopefully that is encouraging signs for the future. But for the present, thank you very much, guys. It has been a pleasure to talk to all of you. I hope you have a great time, and I am very, very thankful for your company here, for you indulging my questions and all that. So shout out to all three of these guys. As you guys know, exclamation mark before each of their names will bring up all their socials. If you're listening to this to YouTube on the new Group Up channel, then please make sure you go show these guys some love. Prime subs to all of them. Well, okay, Prime sub and a regular tier 1 sub to all of them, because there's only one Prime sub to go around. Choose your favorite. Right, so we're gonna see ML
SVB.
again on
Twitch TV Kragi.
Yeah. Bogur's duo. Bogur's duo.
Big shout out to Cloudy.
Shout out to Craggy. He said. I thought you said Craggy.
To Cloudy. He said Craggy. I said
No,
Cloudy.
Kragi.
Oh,
he said Cloudy.
you Cloudy. Okay,
I
okay.
said,
So
I said Cloudy. So
everyone's
you know
giving
it
it to their-
keeps up like.
yeah, everyone's giving it to their
ML
better halves.
ML can't do a shout out to anyone else because he's the highest rated.
Fair. First player problems. Rank 1 problems. But yeah, we'll see ML on Sunday for the rank gauntlet, which Bogur is already currently sitting on the high score of. So it should
Coming
be
after
very-
you, Bogur.
be very
Winton.
fun.
He
We
thinks
gotta
I'm
get
playing support.
I'll play Winton. Maybe.
That would be interesting to see ML on tank. We got to get Kabaji on the gauntlet at some point as well. So it should be a lot of fun, guys. We'll be back in the stream in a quick intermission. But again, thank you so much to these guys. Hope you guys had a fantastic rest of your day. Thank you for joining me, guys.
Thanks, SVB.
Bye.
See ya.